Here we go. Streets and Scholars, Alex Alonso and Bear, here to bring you guys another banger. And I'm here with one of my, and I ain't even exaggerating, man. I probably ain't never told you this, but I'm over here with one of my favorite Crips. I ain't even exaggerating. I remember the day I met you, man. In fact,
at the Forum.
At the Great Western Forum in Inglewood. What year was it? See if you remember the year.
I don't. I want to say like about 91.
No, it was in the 2000s. It was like a.
Oh yeah, no. You're right.
2007 or 8.
Yeah.
And I was there for my man T. Rodgers.
No, I thought it had to be longer than that because B.A.B.Y started 2008.
I was there when you. I was there. That interview that we first did was when B.A.B.Y was brand new.
Right.
You had the B.A.B.Y shirt on.
Yeah, we was 2008.
And I was there for T. Rodgers, who I grew up with.
My boy.
Hey, I got a bunch of T. Rodgers stories. Rest in peace, T. Rodgers.
Rest in peace to him, my boy.
And to his son, Lucky. I don't know, did you know his son, Lucky, that passed also?
I didn't know him that good. I met him. Interacting with T. I ran across him a couple of times.
And you were there with Swanee Fly.
Yep.
And we was there at the Great Western Forum. I did my first little interview with you. It was a short little interview. Put you out there.
From Swan.
Shaka from Swan was there. Yeah. And we've been rocking with each other ever since, man.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you coming in for another episode of Streets and Scholars, man. And we also tapped in again on another interview at you just corrected me off camera, not Edison, but at Charles Drew. And that's one of the schools that you do outreach work under your nonprofit, which we'll talk about a little later.
That's where the Crips started at.
Yeah, huh?
Fremont and Charles Drew.
Yeah, because did Raymond actually attend Charles Drew?
Most of your top of the line gangbangers, I don't care whether it was Bloods or Crips, if their name was big, they come up out of Charles Drew.
On the east side.
On the east side. I'm talking about the dude from Pyru, couple of Bloods from Swan, just anybody that really, because you got to remember, in L.A. back in them times, most blacks was all on the east of the 110 freeway. So, a lot of, that Drew was kind of considered a gladiator school.
Now, at that time, Raymond Washington lived on 76. So how far from where he lived was Charles Drew?
Probably, San Pedro in 76, Drew was on Firestone and Compton Avenue. So not that far. The only other schools they had, like back then for Raymond in them time, was Bethune, Drew, Edison, and
the one for delinquents too was on the east side. Reese.
Yeah, I was just gonna say which was Bethune.
Okay, that's Bethune now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, no, wait a minute. I think it was. I'm not sure. Don't hold me on that.
But Reese actually had all the quote unquote bad kids.
If you couldn't go to none of the other schools, you went to Reese.
Yeah, that's I learned that from my connection with Donald Archie, one of the co-founders of the West Side Crips. He actually said he met Raymond at Reese.
Yeah.
Back in whatever years he would have been in junior high school. That would have been 70, 68, 69. They was in junior high.
Yeah, like 71.
No, because they were born in 53. So let's say...
no, you're right.
If 14 years old, if you're born in 53, that takes you to 67.
See, if you was going to ask me these questions, you should have told me to call my uncle Big Time or have them come, or my Uncle Paul Bunyan.
Because
had them come.
Back then, junior high school, which is what we called it back then, was 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade.
Right.
And you hit the 6th grade at the age of 13.
No. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, so if you're born in 53 or 54, you're hitting Reese at 1967, 68, 69, and that's where they met.
I was a baby.
Yeah. All right, so, man, we got a lot to talk about, but the first thing I wanted to talk about with you, man, let's talk about this relationship stuff because that's a hot topic online, man. There's a whole bunch of quote-unquote relationship experts, man, and we were talking about dating younger women, dating older women, dating women that are already baby mamas, and then adding another baby to it. And briefly, how many kids do you got?
I got 7.
Damn, I didn't even know that. 7 kids. How many?
6 baby mamas.
6 baby mamas, 7
and
kids.
Rest in peace to my first baby mama. She just passed not too long ago, Diane Thomas. We was kids.
Okay.
We had my daughter's 38 now. We had her when we was 14, 15 years old. So,
So how old's your oldest and how old's your youngest?
my oldest is 38. My youngest is 2.
Damn, I don't think I've ever heard of a 36-year difference between oldest and youngest.
And I don't need Viagra. I don't need Viagra at all. Hey, the funny that you said that is, I was at this comedy thing and Carlo Miller's came out and me and my girl was sitting in there and he got a joke where he's talking about kids being uncles and all that shit. And my son is a great uncle because one of my sons had a little girl, so he's a great uncle. That's my first great grandchild. I got 2.
You got grandkids that are older than your youngest kid.
Yeah, my son is 2.
Yeah, so.
And he's their uncle.
now, can you see how some people see this as a problem, that you having multiple kids by multiple baby mamas? Because how can you be a daddy in how many 6 households?
Oh, I'm glad you asked me that. It's not that situation. So for me, this is the situation. Each one of my kids I had was different relationships, and they're spread it apart. My oldest daughter I had as a kid, me and her could not have a relationship. It was sexual, and I grew up with her. I knew her. She was my friend. She was like the girl in the neighborhood, the whole little nine. And, she was the girl that everybody protected. And we ended up doing some shit, and bam, I had my daughter. That was my first interaction. My family wasn't the type to take care of the kid for me, so I had to learn how to be a man at the age of 15. But I was in YA, so I didn't get to interact with my daughter until she was 2. So I was 17 by the time me and her interacted. But it's like a slippery slope. Is a funny situation because, with her, we was kids and there was no real love like situation where we was spending a long time with each other and none of that. Hell, I was in camp most of the time. So, it was different. And then after her, I didn't really want no more kids, so I was plastic man for about 12 years. And then my other son came. And then I had Taj, and then I had Tyreek, and then I had my daughter Kobe. And then each one of these, you got to remember, each step is a different relationship with me with a different woman. And I ended up making kids in each one of these relationships. My 2-year-old is my girl that I'm with today. You know what I'm saying? And we made a son, and that's my kid. And I'm that type of dad. I'm going to be there. A lot of people know me. A lot of people know my brothers. A lot know us, and we take care of our kids.
You're probably a better father now than you was 20 years ago.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I understand the sacrifice. I understand, the lead. I don't want to jump the gun, but I've changed my life in a situation where my kids can hold their heads up instead of like, damn, my dad was this dude, with the other stuff that's behind me, my past and what they say about me. So, I'm 100% a different dad. I'm more of a dad than anything.
Now, how many of your kids end up in the streets as they grew up?
Not one.
Not one.
Not one.
Hey, man, we gotta. It's hard. It's hard for most brothers to say that, And that's no shade to any of my friends, homeboys out there that got kids that bang, because I know it's hard.
Let me say that on this. I got something to say on that. So, for me, and I'm saying this to any gang member, if you would walk your kid down this road and this road is nothing, it's negative. Some of the stuff I do in schools and I talk about, I challenge kids. I put $100 on the table and I say, if you can name me a successful gang member, you can have this. And they'll tell me Nipsey, they'll tell me Cube, they'll tell me, I even had a kid smart enough to say me. And I said, no, I'm not a successful gang member. I'm a successful businessman. I'm a successful preventionist. That's it. You know what I'm saying? I walked away. Snoop and them was rappers. Nipsey and them was rappers. They weren't successful gang members. They was able to horn who they was and become something else with that reputation still behind them. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of dudes that tried to juggle both and they couldn't. You know what I'm saying? They lost their life. They went to jail for life. I'm just blessed and I'm lucky. Trust me, I could have easily been in jail doing life. I've been shot 10 times, 9 different occasions, and my homies know it. And I'm standing, and I just, God got me, and I know that,
And for those that are listening to Streets and Scholars right now around the world and that don't know Bear's background, you came up out of the 7-6 East Coasters, no?
No.
Where'd you come up out of?
I come out of East Coast.
Okay.
So that's First Street to 190. Now we got 1200s and 2400 blocks. So I come out the East Coast.
Okay, so you like to just make it all in unity.
Right. For us, our teaching, I come, if you're going to give me a designated area, 8-9.
I'm sorry, you at the 8-9, my bad.
Right.
I said 7-6.
Got two right here.
8-9.
But I'm saying, if you're going to give me a designated area, 8-9.
Yeah.
But my teaching, if you looking at East Coasters, we had a time where we said Coast Love. We banged Coast Love, and we really meant that shit. That was our unity. That was our connection. That was our hold. And so if there was incidents where I was on Locke High School campus, and we had the homie Snap from Q with us, and it's me and my boy Sleep, and we came through the garden area, and there's about 20 main streets. They in there, and they tripping. They looking for Q102s. They looking for whatever East Coasters they don't like. But you got to remember, at this time, all the hoods are starting to try to figure out who they're going to be, where they're going to be, and what they're going to be. And so it's just growing. Raymond Washington's story is growing because his thing was to consolidate the East Side. And so it's growing. You know what I'm saying? There's gangs that was going to be East Coasters, and there's gangs that wasn't. The main streets was never trying to come into our car. But they had a lot of love for, like, my big homeboy Gangster John. And then the ones that went to school with us at Drew. Remember, I told you, a lot of your real gangbangers went to Drew. And so I can remember we walked into the garden area, and my boy Snap, Lil Snap, from Q102, and his cousin, Vic, from Main Street, they was getting at him, and they got into each other. They kept hollering, "Nigga, you got a problem with Q, you got a problem with Maine, you got a problem with Q." So Steel Bill from Maine turned to me in Big Sleep, and he said, "Which East Coast y'all from?" And I said, "Which one you don't like?" He said, "I don't like Q102, and I don't like 11-8. I said, "Well, I'm from 11-8. And my homeboy Sleep said he was from Q102. But like EJ, VJ, Red, all these other dudes that grew up with me as kids from Main Street was like, "No, they not. They from 8-9. I said, "No, right now, where we at now, I'm from Q102. Sleep said he from 9-7. We just tell them we East Coasters, period. We didn't give a fuck. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But because we stood our ground as young dudes, Steel Bill, Truck, and all these dudes was older guys. And they was like, these little motherfuckers is down. They said they with it. So boom, we leave out, and we walk out and like Soul from 9-7, my boy Tub from 9-7, and then there was a couple other dudes, I'm not going to say their names, but they got booted from 9-7 for this day. We coming out the backside of Locke onto 109th, and they're ahead of us. As soon as they get out the gate, I mean, the main streets up there thick. They up there about 20, 30 thick, and they in a line, and we got to walk past them, and they say, we walk, and then them dudes get outside the gate, and they like, fuck skirt and run. You feel me? And then Bill and them like look at us, and any of us from 8-9, we kind of knew they weren't going to fuck with us because they fuck with Gangster John and certain homies from 8-9. And they ran out, boom, they say, see what they just did? But we're going to let y'all roll. We ain't going to trip. And they let us roll, and they didn't fuck with us. And then when we got to the hood, we did what we had to do when we hollered about homies, and a couple of these dudes ended up getting booted, getting whooped on. J-Dog from 9-7. He got booted, and he became Fly from 5-9 Hoover. Now, 5-9 Hoover is where he really made his name at. But when he was from 9-7, he was cool, but like I said, they did some hook shit, and they got checked for it, and they had to get the fuck on. This is the early stage, what I'm telling you about. And so, we really bang Coast Love. We bang that shit. If the homie got shot somewhere, motherfuckers came from everywhere. And we pushed. I don't give a fuck if it was on First in Aliso Village. I don't give a fuck if it was 62nd all the way out to 190. We pushed. And we mounted up. And when you seen us, we was coming. That's why they used to call us Coast Nation. And they didn't really want to fuck with us when it was all of us. And so, this was something that Raymond put in play when he was, with the six, because he really fucked with a lot of homies down in that 6-pack area. And so he gave us the foundation to move forward on what we was doing.
I think he actually started 62nd Street.
No.
You don't think so?
No, 6'9". More, I think he's more 6'9". 6 Deuces was, I believe it was Esquires. And my homeboy Duck was with that. And so 6 Deuce and 8'9" is more connected solo. A lot of people don't understand that and don't know that. But actually, my homeboy Gangsta Ron is who created the neighborhood. Long before 60s was neighborhood. Gangsta Ron created neighborhoods, and 8'9" was neighborhoods. First, there was 8'9", there was 8'8" Crazy Boys, and then they switched over to 8'9", and because of John Slaughter, which is Wolf, major name in the game, Ducky Boy, major name in the game. So Duck was able to get the Deuces to turn with us neighborhood.
So you're saying the 8'9" were the first neighborhoods?
Original neighborhoods. Matter of fact, you even got it on one of your street things when you talking to Quake from 6 Deuce, and he tell you 8'9" started neighborhood.
I actually think Kev Mack did that interview.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I thought it was yours.
Yeah.
But I'm saying he told you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so for us, 8'9" and 6 Deuce is always a lock, a connection. We was raised not to bang against each other, not to trip with each other, not to fuck over each other. And we kept it solid. And then when the East Coast rolled in with the 6'9s, which they was, at first they was Shack Boys, and then first they was Castle Crips, and then they was Shack Boys, and then they thought up East Coast. And so we merged neighborhood and East Coast. And so then it was this and this, and two fingers in the thumb, no matter where you threw it, we was there. And so this upbringing was, we was solid with each other, and we was able to keep the funk from each other. If a homie did something stupid in any end of the neighborhood, and when I say any end of the neighborhood, from 190 to 1st Street, you did something wrong, they'd deal with you and then call the hood and say, look, we got woo-woo, he did some mark shit, and we're going to deal with him.
Okay, I wanted to still piggyback off of what you said earlier about having all these kids, because you just mentioned you have a 2-year-old, and I wanted you to expand on that.
Finally made a junior.
Oh, you got a junior, a Charles Jr., I guess.
Yes, my other ones is my juniors too, man. It's just, I didn't like my name. I'm under my dad, and my dad is under my grandfather. I just didn't like the name Charles, so I used to have these little names, alias names. I was Taj sometimes to girls, sometimes I was Tyreek, and so when they was born, each one of them got one of them names, and they're my boys. They solid as motherfucker. They grown. They 26, 25. One went to the Marines. One worked for B.A.B.Y right now. We go through our ins and outs, but they my boys.
So you got a son that went into the armed forces?
Yeah.
Oh, man, congrats on that.
Thank you.
Tell him thanks for his service.
Tyreek Maurice Spratley.
Hey, we appreciate your service, Tyreek. So how old is the baby mama for your newest kid?
She's 32.
Oh, she's young.
Yeah.
She real young.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean by young. She grown.
She grown, but 32 is pretty young.
She ain't 19. She ain't 18.
Yeah.
She's grown.
Yeah, but there's got to be at least a couple decade age difference there between you and her.
Definitely.
Yeah. So how is it dating a younger woman, and why go that young?
All right. So, well, that's like a 3-part question. So, if you're talking to the younger me, the party me, it was accessible. To be for real with you, they there, they see me making money, they want to fuck. Period. So that was that. Each one of my baby mamas, I got 6. Each one that I've messed with and dated and been dealt with is we lived together, and we really went through shit together. We got years together. The one that I had the most years with, her name is Tennille. We had 17 years. We went through a lot of bullshit, a lot of hell, but she was the female that I wanted to be with, prior to my oldest daughter. So she became my oldest daughter's stepmom. We raised her together, you know what I'm saying? And it was that way, for me. With this age bracket and these baby mamas, it wasn't a trip about that. It was the connection mostly. You know what I'm saying? If they couldn't do nothing to help me or, keep up with where I'm going, I didn't fuck with them. You know, any of these females, any one of them that I fucked with, they was capable of keeping up with what I was doing. And hey, they want saggy asses and saggy titties and fat bellies and big chins.
So a lot of older women are gonna feel a little disappointed in that they want to date guys like you, your age, but they already know guys like you are looking at the younger woman because of what you just said about the physique, right?
No, come on, because I got an answer for you.
You said the saggy titties and this, that, and the other.
I didn't get to go where I was going with it because I know we finna holler about this. So when I'm saying that, I'm saying true that. That's just like, look, I'm a big man now. You know what I'm saying? I can show you pictures of me, a slim dude.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, when I came home from YA, I was right. I had a V. I was good. But you know, money, hustling, doing my shit. I'm this. So when I'm fucking with a older woman and she's slower than what I'm moving, it's not going to work. And it's not to say that there's nothing wrong with an older woman. An older woman is straight, but if she's on her game and she's keeping her, trust me, I got many older women I fucked with when I was doing parties and doing my shit. You know what I'm saying? I just seen one at a funeral that came, and me and her and fucked around a few times, but we fuck around when we see each other, and she keeps herself in shape.
Shout out to all those women that are 45 and over and are fine still.
We're going to go 40 and older.
Okay, 40.
40 and older.
We can go even 40 and older.
I agree with you. Shout out. Much respect to you guys. Every one of you guys, any of y'all listen to this, y'all know me personally. I'm not no fuck ass nigga, and I don't sit there and disrespect you and say all this. You get my sincere love, you get my sincere respect. I work with you, and we our problem don't be that. Our problem might be something else. You know, older women are hella smarter, and they require extra shit they want, and it's like they're more controlling, you know. And they don't understand, like, for instance, for my lifestyle, for over 26 years, I was throwing parties. So I'm at a club, I'm finding clubs, I'm partying, I'm with rapper dudes, I'm fucking with everybody. And, you know, my party's going up. And I got this young motherfucker, they grown, young, saying, hey, I'm fucking with them. It's that simple. It's you know, what's up, you know? And you run across some of these motherfuckers that get in the club, lie, say whatever they are, but that's not the intention. But if you fucking with somebody and you connect with somebody, you're not tripping, as long as they can measure up to where you at and what you thinking. Because if you're talking to a kid and the kid is talking about bubblegum and this shit, you're not finna fuck with that. You can't. You know what I'm saying? But a motherfucker doing shit, they working, they got jobs, and they doing this shit. That's where a motherfucker be at. Like, okay, I don't want no bitch I got to take care of. And excuse me, I'm not calling all you women bitches. It's just a slang. I'm saying, you ladies, you know, that's not where we at. That's not what we chasing. Well, that's not what I'm chasing. You know what I'm saying? I'm chasing if you capable of fucking with me on my level of what I'm doing, I can fuck with you.
Now, a lot of younger women in their early 30s, such as your current baby mama, and even in the 20s, don't mind messing with older guys. Talk a little bit about that. What do you think it is with women that are as young as 25 that don't mind messing around with a guy 40, 45, 50 years old?
Well, I haven't been in that situation, but I just say this. For me, and from what I see, and I think any man out here see, you meet a 25-year-old, you know she just it's a pleasure game. It's what you got, how you looking, and what you. It's the same way a dude will look at a female. Okay, she bad, she got a nice body. Ooh,
but we don't look as good as we did when we was 21 years old, but we can still get that 25-year-old female.
Yeah, because we smarter. We getting money. We doing stuff, you know. And that 25-year-old looking like, man, that motherfucker over there making money. That motherfucker driving a nice car. That motherfucker got jewelry. That motherfucker, everybody know him. Yeah. You know, there's draws for them to us. There's draws for us to them, you know. But if I'm in a situation and I'm with like I told you, my longest relationship, I didn't give a fuck about all that. I just gave a fuck about her. It's just me and her couldn't last because she was a Leo, I was a Leo, and everything, you know, if I'm doing my job, you're not going to challenge me. And I'm not trying to control you. I'm just saying to you, look, I don't want to fight every fucking day. I don't want to get up and I got to defend or I got to argue with you about bullshit. You know what I'm saying? When you see that I am a capable man, not no lazy motherfucker laying around and you taking care of me. I'm bringing more money than you are. I'm doing the shit that I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Then you measure up with me and let's do this. So for me, there is no thing like that. If you capable of standing with me and you capable of rolling with me and you capable of understanding me and you bringing in just as much, or are you going to move me forward, I'm fine with it. But other than that, you know what I'm saying? Younger, older, it doesn't matter. It just depends on who the person is, whether she's 40, 50, 23, 29, 70. If she come on board and she say, you my boo, you my guy, I got you. And she got me, come on. Why the fuck would I go play?
Yeah.
It ain't nothing to play with. I mean, if they 70, they can't really take the ding, but, you know, I'm just saying, real is real, you know. Shit, if you look back to the old days, women was young, fucking with older men, marrying older men, period. The parents was giving them to older men because they want the girl to be taken care of.
And if I remember, if reading this history, some of these girls was as young as like 12, 13. Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
And they was giving them.
Yeah.
Like, come on, I want you to marry my daughter because you got wealth. For us, it was a different thing and it's a different training. And this shit it really is hereditary.
And those relationships lasted decades.
Decades. My grandmother moved from Mississippi with my grandfather and never, ever been with another man. She was a anointed woman in church. She's part of the reason I am the man I am now. She's like a big part of it. Even my shit that I'm doing, my program I'm doing, she was a big part of me creating this program and doing this program. And we'll get into that later, but I'm just saying to you, you know, back in the days, I even look at a lot of shit, and I don't want to be rude to nobody, but I'll show you something real quick. Back, let's just say the 50s back, no, let's just say the beginning of the 60s back, where men were men in the household and women was women in the household. You didn't have to worry about the women cheating. You didn't have to worry about the women being promiscuous, sneaking out, bringing somebody in the house, doing nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Very rare.
Very rare. But there was a lot of bullshit going on where these men that I don't agree with was just beating on these women.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
Too, yeah.
If you caught her and she was doing something, I got nothing to say. But if you just come in and you mad tonight and you want to kick her in the ass, you fucked. You're a fucked up dude. But that shit, you got to always remember, even for the blacks, you got to always remember this. You guys got to understand where ass whoopings came from and the way people think came from, as far as blacks. Ass whoopings came from, they was trying to save your life all the way from back in the 1400s. You know what I'm saying? They whooped your ass well because you wasn't supposed to look at a white person crazy. You wasn't supposed to do nothing. Emmett Till went down there and whistled. And it was fucked up. And people watched him get killed. You feel me? So from them times to this time, it's a whole different story. It's a whole different demographic. And you got to look at it as so. You know, once they gave black some kind of rights, the women started fighting. Not just black. White women, all women had to fight for their rights. And we all went into gay rights and all these other rights because they all built off this one situation of blacks trying to be recognized as humans. Your ass whooping, man, my mom's whooping my ass. You know what I'm saying? I can remember a principal, his name was Mr. Thrash. I know he ain't here no more, but Mr. Thrash was a black man, and at this time in schools, you get SWATs. Me and my brother got a SWAT, and this is when ADHD first came into the picture. And he called my mom, and he told my mom, have they been tested? And she was like, tested for what? And he said ADHD, and she didn't know what they was talking about because we didn't, it was just a term that they was trying to give us, a label they wanted to give us. And my mom said, I tell you what, send them home. And I'm talking about Dwayne Spratley and Charles Spratley, Craig Spratley. Send them home. And we had a street, Zamora, that walked from Russell Elementary straight down to the house, and we knew it. When we walked to that door, and my mama was sitting on this couch, there's going to be some ass whooping. If she was sitting over here, you might can talk your way out of it.
Damn.
No, serious. And
what was those ass whoopings like physically?
man, water hose, belt, and stitching cord, whatever she could grab, broom.
Today you go to jail for that, huh?
Hell yeah. But I thank her for what she did because she did turn us around. You know, shit, my brother Craig is what they call a super IT now. You know what I'm saying?
Did any of you guys regret those types of disciplines?
I hated them.
Yeah, at the time
no.
regret. But what about when you look back at it?
That's what I'm saying. I hated them because she wasn't playing, but she was considered the ass whooper of the family. Period. I don't care who kids came. They all told them, sit down, because then I'm gonna trip, and she gonna do you like she do her kids. She gonna whoop your ass. She gonna get you. So, you know, we had a big family. My grandmother had 13 kids, and every one of them had kids, and so majority of us was boys, and you know, it was ugly. I want to give a shout out to my cousin Nate. He just died the other day. But all of us grew up in the same household, same grandfather. My grandfather was Arthur Smith. He was a pitcher for the Negro League. Back in the days, they called him Smitty. They called him Grassman because he could pitch. You know, then as he got older, they ended up running the liquor store on 90th and Central. And right when we was kids and when the gang shit started, and I'm telling you, I had to bust on I had shot at the families, and my grandfather just he came out the door and went back in the door. We ran across, we did it, and we ran past, and he didn't see us. But he came home and he said, man, these dudes just came and shot some people and yada, 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 yada. And, you know, here we are, we sitting there and we looking like, wow. You know, he just missed us. But like I said, man, it's the times that's been turned and made shit like, to me, worse.
Okay. Now you mentioned these parties that you was throwing and meeting all these women. Let's talk a little bit about that, because before I even met you, before I even knew you, I used to hear about these parties. I used to see these parties actually on the news sometimes.
You was on them parties. I was mad at you then.
No, that was actually Chris Blashford from Fox 11 News. That wasn't me.
John Beard.
John Beard, yeah. But
and I was hot because they brought you in and you was talking about the cohesiveness of the Crips. You was just talking about the book stuff.
But there was a dude out there that was shooting the footage and giving it to Fox 11. It wasn't me.
Well, I found out later.
That guy's resting, actually. I forgot his name, but he used to, I don't know how he was getting that footage.
I know who he is. He was with Snoopy Blue and Spider.
No, I don't think he wasn't affiliated. He was
with them. I know his name. He had the dreads. They brought him and asked me could they do their video on one of my things. So for me, them parties was what I called hood days, and we started them. I started them.
When did they start?
88, like 88. I used to clown when I was in YA. And my birthday is July 27th, but I'm from 89 East Coast. And so August is the 8th month, 9th is August 9th, so we created 8-month 9th day. And so at this time, and Queek, all you dudes know, all you Crip niggas that used to, from the West and everywhere, came up to the park, y'all know. So when we threw the first party, it was a day party. I was able to rent Washington Park Pool, and we had this big-ass party. I'm talking about the sheriffs there, everybody at the gates and trying to look in. One day I'll give you the footage. I got it on CD. My boy was there to transfer from me. It was in video, but my boy, his brother is Carl, and then his brother. They stayed off 112th in San Pedro. They used to coach football at Locke, but Mike Evans. So Mike and them I got them as DJ, and they came, and we had this big ass Doodle Brown contest. This when Doodle Brown came out, we had this big ass contest, and when we was up there, the party, it cracked. We had over 500 motherfuckers in there. We had motherfuckers all up on top of the roof, and we had people all on the deck. The sheriff's there, they not tripping. And then we made food. We was feeding everybody that was there. We literally took our money and bought a gang of food and shit. And so my boy Queek from A. Hoover died. Hyde, dudes from Hoover, Rick. All these dudes would come over to the parks. They wasn't scared. They didn't have no problem because we was Crips at that time and we wasn't tripping on each other. And so once we threw that party, Quaking them turned around and invited us to Manchester Park for the first A trade day. And four of us went over to me, Lex, Lil CJ, and J-Bone.
It's just kind of like the beginnings of Hood Days.
Hood Days.
Because this is a 80s thing, right?
Yeah.
A late 80s thing.
Yeah.
Because there were no Hood Days in the 70s.
No, it was like 87 when we did the first one. 87, then 88 is when it really took off. So 87 was the first pool party. And then I just realized, like, fuck it, we're going to do one next year. But in that go-around, everybody else started doing it that was familiar with it. And it just grew. It grew. Next thing I knew, everybody was doing Hood Days. And for me, I flipped Hood Days. I took it and I said, fuck it. I'm going to start throwing these parties and make this money. So for like about 22 years, I made money off of parties. And my following became almost like 800 people. And I could rent any building, any place, and pack it. And we didn't have no problems because, like I said, this is the beginning. And this is when Crips really fucked with each other. So it was no beefs. And so,
there was some beefs though.
No,
you couldn't get the 60s and the A trays at one of these parties.
This is before 60s and A trays beef, and then yeah, we could. I remember we had 6 O's at the party. We had what's my nigga name from A Tray Gangster? We had about 5 A Tray Gangsters. It'd be Grape Streets. It'd be everybody in
But
there.
these beefs go back to 79. Even the Broadways, the 4 trays,
No.
the 5 trays.
It wasn't beefs like that. It was just it wasn't beefs where you was killing each other. You know what I'm saying? We meet up, we squabble, and then that's it. It was no fuck your hood and this and that and that. It's he did this and we gonna deal with that dude. That's what it was. And so, like I said, if that was the case, the first beef is East Coast and Hoovers. And we was in the park. And we was there, Manchester Park, and we was there for it all day. We didn't have no incidents. We didn't have no nothing. All of us got families. Most of any of your dudes from the east side got family from West Side gangs. Got families from Hoover. Got families from gangsters. I got families from damn near everything on the west. And so the beefs wasn't like that. And then you got to. And I'm talking to brothers that's out there right now that know what I'm about to say. You got to realize. We're not really looking at the time stuff, but the times is we counting months where shit changed. We talking about 3 months now, we cool. 4 months later, we beefing. You feel me? So this is the growth of the gang shit. This is the growth of what's going on because all of a sudden, because dick and pussy, we getting these wars. You know what I'm saying? Just like you mentioned the 60s A Tray Gangsters, they party together up until a female. All this shit starts behind games that's being played inside these parties, inside these hoods. She sees somebody else she like, you go to jail, she play with him, you come home, you ready to trip.
Yeah.
And basically that's a lot of your wars. I don't care who's out here and who's gonna say what. Everybody that's looking at this motherfucker know. That was the bottom line for me of all the involvement in the gang shit.
So what inspired your first party? What inspired your 87? Was it 1987 when you did your first one? What inspired that?
Me clowning.
But were you seeing other dudes doing a little bit of partying? And
No, there was no party shit going on. I was clowning in YA. I was in juvenile hall. And me and J-Bone, which is Jeffrey Washington, all of us, we up in YA. There's a few of us, Crook from Q102, Evil from 11-8, Boo from 8-9, even Horace, which ended up becoming a 11 Deuce Broadway, but he was from East Coast in the beginning. Baby Cakes from 11-8. I mean, I can go on right now. Shorty from 11-8. All of us is in there. Sleep from 8-9. And Dog from 8-9. It's a bunch of us. And then I can, Monster Cody and them is there. We kids. Them dudes is older than us. And I used to clown. I'd be like, nigga, today my birthday. It'd be August 9th. I'd be like, today my C-Day. Nigga, like, no, it ain't, nigga. It's August 9th. It's my C-Day, nigga. It's my day. And the motherfuckers were like, boom. So when I got out, I was telling homies, let's do this. And then me and J-Bone and his brother Lil T, we was hollering because we was in the same circle. And I was like, man, we could do 8-9 day. Let's do this. And so we put it together and we did some food. We barbecued in the park because we was cool with everybody at the park, at Washington Park. We barbecued, and then I'm telling you, it was everything in the park. Hoover's, Kitchens, Compton Avenues. It was any Crip that was in good standings was in that park that day. And when I say it was over 500 people, it was over 500 people, and I'll prove it to you when we get another chance. I'll give you a shot at the video, and you can look at it. And, you know, when we first did that, like I said, Queek and them from A. Trey Hoover was there. So the next hood day I went to was the following year was A. Trey Day, which was at Manchester Park. And then from that, you just started hearing hoods doing Hood Day. Everybody doing Hood Day, and it just grew. And everybody was doing it. And yes, I am the founder of it. And I say me, Jeffrey Washington, and Todd Washington is the first ones that initiated it. I had the thought, and we put it together.
The Washingtons are also from 8-9?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did it...
My nigga Bone, rest in peace. Much love. Jeffrey Washington, your family and all, homie.
So when did it start becoming more of a party thing, and then the pajama party, and then the yacht parties? When did it...
Well, it was always... You got to remember, it was always a reason to throw the party, so it had to be a theme. I started getting smarter. So I created a theme. The pajama party that me and you know about, that was 20 years in. I was throwing pajama parties before that. I was doing pajama party sleepovers where we was in the building all night until 5 a.m, you know, renting it like that. World on Wheels skating ring, I was filling it up. I remember we did a pajama party there, and Bert was running it. What's his name had already went to jail for child molestation, and Bert was running it, and we got in there. And I'm telling you, we came right when the church service was over, the church skating thing was over, and they coming out, and we coming in, and this girls in fishnet shit, titty nipples out, you know, we in silk pajamas, we in all this shit, and we going big. So it's constantly growing. It's constantly growing. And so I flipped it. I turned it to my hustle.
Which Bert was this?
Bert that was running World on Wheels.
Okay.
You know, I just knew him by Bert. Bert was solid. He was a cool dude. He got greedy on me. That first party, he was like, fuck. Because I filled up the bottom floor and the bowling alley. All they liquor they had in the bar, it sold. Nothing there. Motherfuckers started drinking rock gut just because they couldn't get no other drink.
So the schoolyards were also attending? No?
They never came. And that was the funny to me. They would never come up to that skating ring back then. When they reopened it, then schoolyards was coming. When I was there, the 60s was there. But they'd do pop shots from up off the top of the hill down in there. But they wouldn't come down there.
Yeah, that's because it's in their hood.
It's in their hood, but I don't care. I've been places where it was our hood no matter what. And where we was at and we was that thick, it was our hood.
Well, no disrespect to the schoolyard.
No. I fuck with my boys.
Yeah.
I fuck with them, and they know. I'm only speaking the truth. I ain't telling no bullshit. They that skating run. If you banging, you're not gonna walk into some shit where you know it's too much motherfuckers here that don't like us. And for them, the 6-0s was there, and so everything that was affiliated with the 6-0s on that west side was having problems with them. So they wasn't finna walk in there like that. But they didn't let it, when they revised it and opened it up, they made sure that you knew you was in their hood.
So what years was it when you was up there doing parties?
Anywhere from 86 to about 97, 95. 97, I say 97.
So those late 80s was definitely, the 60s was always up there on the weekends.
They was up there strong.
Yeah.
It was up there strong, and when we pushed up there, we made sure we was up there strong. We made sure everybody knew it was 11 to 4. It was 11 to 4. We push up to that motherfucker, we'd be in there until 4 in the morning. And, you know, if you weren't strong enough to be in there and you weren't deep enough to be in there, you was out of place.
So why did you eventually stop doing these parties?
Actually, I didn't stop. I flipped it from gang situation to more anybody wanted to come could come. You know, we had the dice games. We had I had so many ways to make money. I didn't have to sell drugs. I had all the party favorites. I had the door. So my money was good. You know, I would go home with about like $8,000 a party, and I'd throw 2 parties a month. And I lived off that for like almost 20 years.
Now, one of your parties in 2008 had some gunfire in there. Can you speak on that?
2008.
I think it was the one that kind of kicked off the beef with the Grapes.
No, that was it 2008? Yeah, it was 2008. It was. Now
that was your party though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was my club.
That was okay. Let's talk about that. You actually had a brick and mortar club, right?
Yeah, the Master Link.
Okay.
I was cool with the dude that actually had it, and he seen that I could throw the parties, so he went on and worked with me. And they, I had parties everywhere. We started calling parties Club Scrape. To all my coasters, y'all remember that shit. My 4 trays, y'all remember that shit. Club Scrape, that's when the ecstasy pills got cracking, and motherfuckers was in there buck fuck wild, females was in there buck fuck wild, and so we check that because Chas. Oh, okay. So these parties, what I'm saying, I was making a living off. I was taking care of my family off of it. My girl that I told you about, Tennille, I was with her for 17 years. In this time, I'm throwing parties left and right. Just, my parties were more about my hustle. And so I'm like in New York. I'm throwing parties for everything. You drop your hat and we throwing a party. You know what I'm saying? It's your birthday, we throwing a party. And so 2008. The funny thing about 2008, I mean, it was never funny because we lost good people, and good people got shot. Good people lost their legs,
Hitman.
Yeah, my
Q102.
Q102, he lost his legs, you know what I'm saying? And wasn't doing shit. He just got hit in the back because of some bullshit. And so, BL was my boy.
BL from Grape.
Yeah, much love to my dude.
Mr. Bullard.
Yeah. His brother was my boy. Tweeter was my boy. I fuck with them. And like with me and BL, the coldest shit was BL could come to the party with 40 people and pay $10 a head for each person. And they'd come in there, and most of the time it'd be the girls. My homegirls from 9-7, my homegirls from 8-9, Deuces, different female factions they would get into it with. And once that would happen, he would just say, Bear, we gone. He'll make everybody walk up out of it. He'd be like, let's go, and everybody got to go. And we was able to diffuse it before it escalated. This one night, it was fucked up. This one night, the funny shit was, it was a light drizzle, and everybody started coming. This is the biggest thing I remember. It was a light drizzle. We had security at the gate, everything. But motherfuckers gonna find a way to get their weapons in no matter what. So we had 3 security at the gate, and they was patting everybody down. And they still got their shit in there, because when this shit went up, there was guns in that motherfucker. So we all in there, we kicking in this party. And it just seemed like the harder it started raining, more came. And it got thicker than it ever got. The building held like 200 people. We was well past 400 people. We was well past 450. We was well past. You couldn't damn near dance in that motherfucker because they was just so close to each other. And so we got a little homegirl. This is my little homegirl, Piggy Bear.
And if you tell them that no one else can come in, it's a problem outside, right?
Well, I wasn't gonna tell them they couldn't come in. They was giving me money.
Yeah.
So I'm just being real with you. Come on. Shit, they in the parking lot, they everywhere. And so my little homegirl, Piggy Bear, and she's a solid female. Her family is from Grape, but she ran with the Grapes point in time, but she never got put on. They tried to trip on her. Now, I'm telling you, she is hell on wheels. Anybody listening to this, they know. This young little girl, I'm talking about 16, 17, fighting grown-ass women and whooping that ass. Her and my niece, Lady Box, much love, rest in peace. They tried to push their line with her. And so what happened was the Grapes had brought, like my boy B.A.B.Y, he had hit me up and he said, Bear, is it cool if I bring some bounty hunter girls? And I said, no, man, don't bring them because my homegirls is already on some dumb shit. Don't bring them because we can't deal with that. So they came, but they brought, I think it was Tank Magruder's son or Tank's son. One of their sons they brought, and he was from Pueblo Bishop. But he didn't know our routine. So if we got into it, BL would be like, we leaving. And I was able to get my people to stand down and stand back. And so they would leave and we'd be done with it. But this night, it was so crowded and shit got cracking with the girls. We was able to stop it. Me and BL went out into the middle of the club. I made the DJ turn off the music, and I told him, I'm like, nigga, we ain't doing this. Ain't nobody in here your enemy. We all homies. Y'all tripping. So the one dude come out the bathroom, which I believe was the boy's son. He come out and he bust in the air 3 times. Once he did that, it's up. Motherfuckers start shooting. Motherfuckers running. I had to save my homeboy a little milk because they had knocked the speaker down over on the top of him. I hear him screaming because everybody running across the speaker. I jump across the bar thing and I push everybody back and I get him from up under there. And so, the shooting happened, so the dust clear. And then when that dust clear, my boy is down. And I'm not going to go deep into what's going on with BL because there's a whole bunch of other shit motherfuckers don't know what's going on. I'm not going to go in that. I'm going to just tell you, my boy was down. 4 of our people was down. And we was trying to rush everybody off to the hospital. My boy B.A.B.Y, much love to him from Grape. Black, he was mad because it happened. So he came in behind me into the building and he was from the bus on me. And I couldn't go nowhere. He had the gun, and when I turned around, he's coming in. So B.A.B.Y went to him to stop him. And he reached for the gun, and I just moved fast enough, and I went between them, and I snatched the gun. And I'm like, man, fuck that. So B.A.B.Y was like, just give me the gun. I'm like, no, holler at me tomorrow and get the gun from me. Because I'm not finna give y'all the gun. This nigga was finna shoot me for sure. I seen it in his face when I turned around. He was nothing but 10 steps from me. And if B.A.B.Y wouldn't have moved when he did, I would have got shot. So I don't know if I'd have been here having this, or I wouldn't know if I would have been paralyzed. I don't know if I was dead. You know what I'm saying? But it was that situation. And so when that was all said and done, there was things that happened that me, for myself, as a G Crip, a real Crip, I didn't like. That happened, And I mean, that's about as deep as I'm going to go into it. I vetted my opinion about some shit to a few homies and shit. We hollered. I didn't like it. And like I said, it moved on. And then the war started.
So for the next 5 years, it was definitely a war between the East Coasters and the Grapes. Yeah. I don't know if it's officially over, but it's definitely it's definitely decreased.
Yeah, we stay working at it because we used to have a song that a Thin Line. That song we used to use because we were so tight. And we just say it was a thin line between Coast and Grape. And we came from that gutter together and we really stayed down. And there's a lot of brothers over there that want to quell this fire and make motherfuckers understand the truth. It was a fucked up night. It was a bad situation and shit went bad quick. And because of just say, and I'm not saying this lightly, just say motherfucker threw an M80 in the crowd and everybody reacted. That's the fucked up shit that happened. And people lost their life and people lost their legs and people got shot because as soon as you hear a boom and it's heated, everybody's pulling their guns out and the shit just went bad. It went bad, and I'm not speaking light to nobody because on everything I love BL. He loved me, he fucked with me, and he got my utmost respect. I didn't go to the funeral because I wasn't finna create some shit, some bad shit, because it wasn't the time to even try to go up there and politic or say anything. All we could do was step back and let them, put him down and deal with it because it was ugly. And, there was a lot of us that was hollering at each other like, look, my nigga, I don't know. I don't want no problem with this shit. I don't know what's up, man. I'm like, man. So that became the downfalls of my parties. That became where I said, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? I had to reinvent myself. That was over. That time of my life was over. Because now, every time I tried to throw something, they felt free to fight. They felt free. For 20 years, I didn't have no problems. But all of a sudden, everybody, even East Coasters, I'm sitting there, motherfuckers getting dressed, ironing, talking about if a homie get out of line with me, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, why the fuck are y'all getting dressed to trip with a homie? So this mentality started coming in play where motherfuckers want to say, oh, my nigga, fuck that. If they trip, I'm tripping. You know what I'm saying? And was no more coast love. It was no more where we can talk. So it was homies on homies. It was bitches on bitches, homegirls on homegirls. It was just haywire now. And now this new drugs is coming into play. So you can't control that shit because we're not familiar with it. You know, for me back in the days, you couldn't just be shermed up and you with the homies and stuff because now you become a liability. So if you were shermed up, either they put you in a car, we put you somewhere else, or we send your ass home.
Yeah.
Now, you know, motherfuckers can do whatever they doing and they spaz the fuck out and it's all right.
Hey, people going on missions with the dudes that is now not shermed up, but now they're pilled up.
Not pilled up, meth up.
Methed up. Yeah.
Cocaine up. And maybe a pill or two. And then, matter of fact, if you want to say pills, let's just say pills. But look what's in the pills. Your chemists is motherfuckers ain't even went to school. They putting all this shit in here and they don't even know what the measurement is. They don't know nothing. They just dropping shit in this shit and saying, bam, my shit fire.
Yeah. Well, rest in peace to all the brothers that lost their lives in that.
Sisters.
And the sisters. And but I wanted to ask you about you worked on a historic movie, iconic, one of the most popular movies ever produced that talked about this LA shit. It might not be the best movie, but it was definitely the first and
eye opener
and one of the most discussed movie. And we're talking about Colors.
Yep.
Man, talk about your connection to that movie Colors and how did that come about?
So it come about, you know, for our neighborhood, we had the sheriffs, Firestone, the most fucked up police in the state of California. I mean, for us in the state of California, I didn't know none worse than them. It was me, J-Bone, Lil CJ, X-Ray, and Lex. We in my El Camino, and we are driving through the hood. We coming up 89 from Zamora, headed to the park. And Nunez and Bradley and this guy named Rick Morton. And at first, I thought he was the guy that wrote the movie, but Rick Schaefer wrote the movie. But he's there, and they pull us over, and they got us on the hood of my car, and so we all around the car like this, and I'm over here, me and J-Bone right here, and then it's Lex, a little CJ, X-Ray, and so Nunez started telling them who we are. He was like, he's the East Coast Crip, East Coast Crip, East Coast Crip. When you get to J-Bone, it was like he's a hardcore Crip. Then when they get to me, they say that's the shooter. And so I'm like, man, I don't know what the fuck you talking about, yada yada yada. So they cuffed me and J-Bone. They let little CJ take my El Camino, and they take me and Bone to Firestone. And when they take us to Firestone, which is on Nadu and Compton Avenue, we get in there. Now we thinking we getting arrested, and we get in there, and there's other people there too. And so we in there, and they are talking to us, and then they start telling us about this movie. And when they tell us about this movie, they asking us, do we want to be in it? I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. And then so Bone like, hell yeah. So they was like, can you get other people in it? And we're like, yeah, man, we can get many people to get in this bitch. And so they were like, all right. So they let us go. Me and Bone clowning, because the sheriff station is not that far. It's Nadu is what they would call 79th. So we walk from Nadu to back into the hood across Firestone. And so me and him clowning, talking. So we get to the hood. And we hollering, we start hollering at home. He's like, man, they want us in this movie, yada, 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 yada. Now, the funny is, we turned out to be the most authentic bangers in that movie, besides T. Rodgers. And in that one scene, when you see they get the bounty hunters right there on Central and Imperial, that scene where they arresting everybody after Craig get killed. And they got them hemmed up on Imperial, and they take them to jail. And then they take us to jail, and then the camera rolls by us, and that's all of us on the window. All them are real Crips. And so we do that scene. But prior to that, man, they had us from to be looking like, and this is no disrespect to homosexuality or none of that. They had us finna look like that. You know, when back in them days, 86, Venice Beach, you know, they used to have the hats on, the little hats with the big bill. But they knew the gang members walked around with their hats flipped up. Them was regular golf hats. Them was regular, it wasn't even the baseball hats, it was golf hats. So they was flipped up, and we have the hood written on the front of that. And so when I seen that shit, and I was like, man, we don't wear that shit.
Yeah.
And Bone was like, yeah, man, we don't dress like that. So I had a hand in working with the wardrobe dude, and we went down. We took him to Huntington Park because back then, at that time in the '80s, we either went to Huntington Park or Hells and Bells on Vermont and King, and so we took him to all these stores. We bought all the shit. We even tricked them into buying us extra shit so that we rode around in the hood. We had jackets that said ENC 89 Crip, and they did all that. They paid for all of that, but they didn't know we had that shit, and so. We started doing the scenes for the movies and shit. That shit was comedy, man. I got much respect for Dennis Hopper. Most everybody else was scared of us. So when we doing the jailhouse scene and the Bloods is on the other side, all them Bloods was actors, and we dressed them. We put the rags on them. I bought the clothes. I showed them the clothes to buy for them, the whole nine. And matter of fact, there's a scene in Colors I'm not in. And that's when they are in the back drinking a beer. And prior to that, they got the homies on the ground. My brother and all them. I got 3 brothers that was in there. They got everybody on the ground. And they're in that alley. And I can't think of the black dude name that's a big actor now.
Don Cheadle?
No, not John Cheadle, the other one. The one that was the Blood.
Glenn Plummer. That played High Top.
Yeah, High Top. He's there. And so while they're doing that, we in Huntington Park buying clothes. So when we come back, we in the Lebaduce Broadway hood off of Main and 112th. Dogman is my homeboy J-Bone. So he the one say, "Oh, Hodges, you back?" And he walking across the street, authentic Crip. And we moving on that. We doing that scene. And so when I get back, they finishing the scene. And then we did another scene down in Watts off 110th and Lou Dillon. And when we doing that scene, there was some 10-line grapes, I guess. That's what they was. Excuse me. And when we doing that scene, they had a girl. The dude told the girl, "Ask them 2 right there, is they real gang members?" And we walking by, and the girl like, "Y'all real gang members?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, where y'all from?" I said, "East Coast Crip." The dude, he tell her to diss us, say cheese toast. You know what I'm saying? And to see if we were gonna respond. I'll slap the fuck out of her. When I slap her, Nunez grabbed me and they pushing us back, and I'm like, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? This bitch just dissed us and you seen it. And you stood there and, you know what I'm saying? He's like, "Man, come on." And they pushed us back. He didn't threaten to arrest me, but he made me kick back. And so after that happened, I'm talking shit to the dude. And my boy Lil John from Wad's Video Grape, he pull up on a yellow moped. He like, "Bear, what's up, man? Whoa, man, this nigga right here dissing the hood, telling this girl to diss the hood, yada, 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 yada." He's like, "Man, whoa." So the Grapes met us in that field where you see them drive the car through.
Yeah.
Crazy. They meet us in that field. We was in our trailer.
Is that the field where you can see the watchtowers in the background
Before
still?
that.
Okay.
Before that. It's the field where she in there, the girl is driving, and she driving crazy, and it's just in between houses. She's rolling through that. So we met in there, and I just wanted to get down with him. So there was G dudes from Grape there, and they was like, "Man, Bo Peep was there because Lil John had reached out to other homies, and like some of them came that knew us. So they came, and I'm like, "Man, just let me and him get down." My brother and him like, "No, you kick back. Look, my nigga, this dude did this, this, and this." And they was like, "We'll deal with it, my nigga. We're going to leave this alone." So we ended up leaving it alone. We go back to the camper, and then we do the scene. In that scene, that same girl is sitting right between my legs. If you look, when the Mexican's supposed to come up to the house and Rocket passed me the gun, she's sitting right in front of me. And I grabbed a gun, and he passed the Uzi over, and then I grabbed the shotgun from behind us because they came to the door. And that's the girl.
So you did a scene with Don Cheadle. He's Rocket.
No, yeah, with Rocket.
Okay.
Yeah, I did a couple of scenes with him.
Yeah.
So, but J-Bone was the one that was in the car with him, and he hit the Sherm or the weed. I don't know exactly which one they were saying it was, but I believe it was Sherm. He hit the Sherm. He said, "I'm fucked up." Shooter was his boy, the light-skinned dude. That name was Shooter, and that was his boy. And then Don Cheadle turned around, man, like, "Shut the fuck up, man," yada yada yada. So when we was doing these scenes, we was getting up. Now, me and Bone, and I mean, you can look at the critics. Me and Bone did the gang writing for the blacks and stuff. So when the church gets shot up, that was supposed to be a blood area. So me and Bone was writing. We would write the blood shit, but we would cross it out because we was real bangers. We would cross it out, and the dude was looking. He said, "Man, why y'all always keep crossing all the shit out?" I said, "This is what we do."
Yeah.
Bone like, "No, man, this is how we do." He said, "But y'all not crossing this out." We would never cross out the East Coast shit. We never would. We just crossed everything else out. They was like, "Man, come on, man. Y'all gonna have to do a little more." So we didn't cross out the hood. We wrote East Side and with a C and crossed it out and did that. We wouldn't cross out the hood or none of that shit. We just was like, fuck it. They was like, all right. And then the Watts Tower thing, where the car flip over, you see it say ECCCCCCC Crip. I wrote that. J-Bone did all the writing on the poles and stuff. And so we did that stuff. So we got money for doing that. We got paid for the scenes. Bone got paid for actual voice, talking. So he got a little more than us on that. And my brother, all of us was in it. My brother even moved forward from that, and it ended up in the Michael Jackson video. And right now, today, I'm working with Dennis Hopper's son, Henry Hopper. And we're thinking about recreating some stuff. I don't want to go deep into what that is, but we're working on some stuff together. I'm working with a couple of other people. So I've been bringing in older homies. We got a game plan in play that's gonna represent us like it's supposed to. They're very interested in it, and so I've been working with a few people, Henry Hopper, HBO, and a couple of other people. We want to try to keep some real to all of this. So I got guys like Blackjack from Kitchen. I got Sam from Hoover. I got Big Tom from 8-9. I got G's, period, past me that are validated. I'm hoping I can grab some more other homies that will. I got some homies from 6 Deuce I'm expecting to bring to the table. I haven't put it to them yet because everything has not moved forward, but we want to bring some light to all this shit. But me, in this depiction, I want our kids to see that we was, brainwashed. We believe we was willing to die for some shit, man. I've had 15 dudes standing around me talking when I shot their homies, and I couldn't bow down. I couldn't be a bitch. I had to tell them, nigga, so what? You know what I'm saying? Y'all know we banging. And I walked away with my life, but I could have easily lost my life standing there, and I didn't even weigh it out. You know what I'm saying? The biggest thing I weighed out was whether I was gonna be a mark or be a down ass nigga.
Yeah.
So I'm like, shit, I'm banging. Fuck it. If y'all got me, you got me. And that's just how silly this shit is and how silly this shit was. And so for me, that's my big picture. I want to expose how misled we were. Because if you look at it in the times of when the gang shit started back then, let's just say from 77 up, dude you calling your big homeboy is nothing but a year older than you. The only reason he's your big homie is because he was from the hood first. Other than that, y'all was probably running on the same elementary school campus, same junior high school. You know what I'm saying? The motherfucker that you, day to day, if you was walking with him, you'd be like, nigga, that's Ralph. He a year older than me, but so what? I do more than him. And so that's what it was. It's kind of that saying where they say kids is raising babies. Same situation. Kids was raising gang members. You know what I'm saying? And we believed the rhetoric. We was with the rhetoric.
Yeah.
No matter what. You know what I'm saying? I really thought I was that motherfucker. I got shot several times and I still was like, I'm finna go back out here and shoot me some people. So, I want to expose that lie. I mean, my biggest question to any of you dudes watching this shit, how many of you motherfuckers will walk your kid down this same stupid ass road and you know what it's about, that there's no success in it? The only biggest success is they get a big name and they're in jail or they dead. How far is that reputation going when they got to try to live and they got to raise somebody and they got to teach somebody? That reputation is going to do nothing for you.
And I'm sure that all of this inspired you to start the organization B.A.B.Y, which we're going to talk about in a second. But I have another colors question because I want to know what it was like working with a young Don Cheadle back then, because he became, I guess you could say, he's an A-list star. He's he's at the top of the food chain when it comes to this acting thing. But you had a young Don Cheadle there trying to play a gangster.
Hey man, look, and the funny you asking that question again. Actually, I should have been answering it what I was talking about, because even when we did that scene was in Lincoln Heights Jail. It used to be the drunk tank for the older people back before our being grown.
It used to be a real prison, real jail, but they use it for the movies now.
It used to be what they called the drunk tank. So if wherever you was in L.A., if you got arrested for drunk DUI, they took you to Lincoln Heights, and it looked like a county jail. We wasn't even in the county jail. We was there. And it looked just like the county. When you see Frog in there, you see all of us in there, motherfucker. Now when he's getting released from the back end of the county jail. No way he was inside of it. You see him come out that. It looked like he coming out that door.
They just cut to it.
Yeah. Right, they cut to it. But really, everything was in Lincoln Heights. So wait a minute, what was that question again?
Just working with Don Cheadle. You actually had.
So my funny with Don Cheadle in them is this: that scene we did, they were scared. They were scared.
When you say they, who we talking about? Damon Wayans, Don Cheadle?
Damon Wayans wasn't there. Don Cheadle was there because he was. That's where you see the pictures we got with him and J-Bone, Shooter, and them all there. This is all at this time. I didn't see Damon. I never even ran across Damon not one time on the set. Now the Hispanic lady, she was there all the time. She was cool as fuck.
Maria Conchita Alonso.
Yeah, Conchita. Yeah, she was cool as fuck.
Yeah.
And then.
What about Glenn Plummer, High Top?
Glenn Plummer, he was just there when we was in that alley. Other than that, he was all the other scenes. We was never around him. They would strategically did shit where it looks like we're there, and they just put shit together and edit it, but we weren't always there around.
Hollywood is masters at doing this.
Yeah. Hey, so Don Cheadle, I just say this, man. When we did that scene, we scared the fuck out of him. When you see us reaching through the bars and we yanking the rags off the head, we deliberately doing it. I'm tearing the pockets off the shirt so they can't wear them again and shit. We all doing it. CJ, all of us, we all in there doing it. And they panic. Even Mr. Ivory, they panic. They run down there, send them home. And that dude, Dennis Hopper, come back in there like, no, fuck you mean? We asked them to show us, be for real. And so he liked the realistic of it. What we did. He was like, no, y'all did exactly what we wanted. We wanted to put this on film on what y'all would do. And we did. And
you mentioned Frog. You actually met Frog on set?
Yeah. We met Frog. He was
Trinidad Silva, that's his real name.
Is
he really from Avario?
I don't know.
Or was he just an actor?
I don't know.
Okay. He was good if he was an actor.
Well, that's, and no disrespect to no Latinos, that's their mannerism. So it's not hard to mimic.
Yeah,
it's not hard to mimic for them. That's they, hey, that's they get down. That's they. I mean, I've grew up with Hispanics all my life. You know what I'm saying? I had friends. My boy S.A. Tony from F-13. I got good guys that we grew up with, and before the war and shit. So, and all my homies know it. We all grew up with some of them, and they were solid as a motherfucker until the war began. But other than that, yeah.
He died right when the movie came out. I think he was in a car accident, if I remember.
I didn't know he died.
Yeah.
No, I did. I seen it. Rico Suave, the police officer that raised up and said freeze right before they shot him, that was the real police. That was Nunez from Firestone, bitch. Damian Wayans, when they got him in the store and he humping the bunny, the black dude with the glasses, bitch, Bradley. Them dudes done whooped my ass a couple of times.
Well, I'm going to say that even though he was playing a Latino Mexican dude, you still got to have a little bit of skills, a little bit of acting. You just can't come in there and just say, hey, vato, hey.
No. That's why I said to you, that's their way.
Yeah.
It's not an act. It's their lingo. That's their, I'm like, what's up, my nigga? What's up, motherfucker? That's us.
Yeah.
That's them. That's their communication. That's their talk. You know what I'm saying?
Did you cross paths with T. Rodgers during the movie?
Oh, that was my boy.
Yeah.
We kicked it with T a lot. Our first interaction with him is when we do the scene and they got us all up against the glass. We at Carson Sheriff Station. And they running the camera across there. T. Rodgers there with us. And then when we in the Jordan Downs, TJ when he said sitting there trying to sell dope.
Oh yeah, he got a table.
Yeah, he got a table.
I
He said
ain't never seen nobody with a
sell
table
no dope like that
selling
back
dope.
in them days.
Yeah,
Hell no.
selling dope off of a domino table.
No, you couldn't catch us doing that. You motherfucker, you had to figure out how to get in where we at.
Yeah, I knew that was all Hollywood right there. They was like, I'm sure T was like, really? You want me to do it like this?
And then it was funny, man. For us, T was like a big brother because he didn't. It didn't cross Crip and blood lines with him. It was just hanging out, conversation, laughing, clowning about what we was doing. He's telling us he was really from out of Chicago or back east. You know, he was shooting this shit at us. And, you know, I didn't even actually, and just being real with you, I didn't even actually know he was a genuine blood until we got back to the normal business and running around. And then I started running across him and he was like, yeah. I'm like,
he's the founder of Blackstones here in LA.
Yes.
And it actually, a lot of people think he founded the Jungles. He actually started in what's called the Biddy, the city.
Stones.
The Jungles came after.
Yeah.
Because they had a different set over there called the Jungle Boys.
Right off of Washington, in between Adams. The Adams is where they at. All that area over there.
Well, T. Rodgers did an interview back in '95. He said they had 5 parks back then when there was Blackstone, even a Queen Anne Park, which is on the schoolyard side. So I guess in this is '69 when he starts the whole Blackstone movement here in LA.
But that's why I was just telling you earlier. You got to understand the time difference. You know, it's small time, but for us, it was a lifetime. So it could have been 5 months of a situation.
Yeah.
And then boom, we into another type of thing. And that was how fast the gang shit. Like I got dudes to be like, oh man, he was from Hat Gang too. Yeah, I was from Hat Gang. I was a kid.
Oh, you was Hat Gang first?
Yeah.
What's that on 92nd?
Yeah, and we was the ones that lived on 92nd, but I was a good Hat Gang. I was at the top of the chain.
That's one of the most OG hoods in LA, Hat Gang.
Well, they wasn't 8, 9, and so my family, my brothers and my uncles, me and Boxer, we was Hat Gangs at first, but this is at the time of, remember I said the identification. So once the family shot my brother, Trouble, I ended up being, for me, I went home.
Who were some of the early Hat Gang guys that you looked up to when you was young?
Big Urbine, that's Big Wayne, Jerome, Mookie, Don Knotts, Skeet. Damn, man, you making me. Topo, which was Manuel, Bosco ended up being from Harlem. A lot of us ended up going to bigger gangs.
Well, let me ask you a hood hopper question, because with this whole social media and internet stuff now that's going on, whenever someone wants to try to smut someone, they'll say, oh, you was from such and such. For example, with B.A.B.Y. B.A.B.Y's open. He said, yeah, I ran with the Harlems before I became a 6-0.
Yeah.
Why is that a point of negativity when you're trying to like tarnish somebody's reputation?
I'll just tell you this. You got to look at the flip side of it. Somebody's going to find something negative to say. I got blood dudes, dudes from B.A.B.Y's that'll say, well, Bear really was from Hat Gang. I tell them, well, y'all really was Central Avenue Crips before you was Bloods. So if we want to play this game, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm telling you, at this time, it was a fast period and it was going quick. Dudes was trying to figure out who they was. The 8-9 families, they was 8-9s with us up until my homeboy Big Wolf, Johnny Slaughter, getting killed by Barry. And that broke us apart.
So the 8-9 families was cool with you guys.
No, they weren't cool. They was a part of
They was a part of you guys until that killing.
Till that killing. And Wolf just had a thing about Barry. And at this time, I'm a young dude, so I wish I had my uncle, one of my uncles here, one of my big homies here to tell you, you know, we were solid up until that point. And then I can remember the AGs when they first started out, they wanted to say they was Bloods, but you got to understand, they wasn't Bloods. It was just everything back then was young blood, this, that, blood. Come here, blood. You know, there was no blood and cuz yet. So when people give you a definition of something, they don't understand it, they don't know it, they just say, oh, well, they was Bloods first. It wasn't that type of party back then. Cuz and blood was not divining, you know, separation or nothing. It was just at that time, you got family coming from down south and all that, and they like, "What's up, cuz? What's up, cuz? Oh, you know." And then so the Crips incorporated it, and then you got to remember, we was first, so a lot of the lingo came from us. Like they say B-Dogs, they use B-Dog more than us now. We was originally C-Dogs. We started it. We was the C-Dogs, and then they did the opposite and said, "Well, we B-Dogs." Fine, you feel me? You know, like my homeboy Big CJ, his name was Raw BJ at first. And this is at the time we kids and shit is changing. So he changed his name to Raw CJ. You know what I'm saying? So it was starting to fit the times. It was just everything was starting to change and starting to fit this. You got to remember all these guys we went to school with, Evil and all them from family and all that. I mean, so many of these dudes, they know me and they know what's up with me and they know my name.
So you know about Evil, which is Clemon Johnson. He had his brother with Sinister. You know, you familiar with that family?
You're saying it wrong. His name is Clemon Johnson.
Clemon. Okay, my bad.
His name is
Clemon Johnson.
Yeah, and he's in jail for killing my cousin.
That's your cousin?
Yeah, Dwayne B.A.B.Y is my cousin. Donald Logan is my homeboy. Tyrone was one of my homeboys from 9-7. But he didn't actually kill them. Peyton and Donald, which was Goldie from the hood. Peyton didn't even bang the hood. He was just affiliated. They he had two other dudes kill him, but he got the murder. You know what I'm saying?
And he's fighting it right now.
They just overturned it. They dropped Donald Logan's murder, they dropped Tyrone's murder, and they dropped Georgette's murder.
And that was the murder that sent him to death row originally?
The murder that sent him to death row was the double.
Yeah.
Donald Logan and Dwayne B.A.B.Y. So, you know, and Clemens know, me and him grew up in school together. We was friends at one point in time, and then once the gang shit started, it became us at each other.
Now, I always say that the Neighborhood Families is probably the most active gang in L.A. history, pound for all the guys that went to death row or caught murder cases
You out
over
your
the time.
fucking mind.
You don't agree with that?
You out your fucking mind.
You know how many?
Ragtime. No, I don't care about you naming none of them.
We name all these names.
Name them. No, Duck. You want to name some names? Windbone, Dre.
But they're small.
Big time, small.
How big is Neighborhood 8-9 Family? They're like from how many blocks is that hood?
We're about the same. We're about the same.
8-9 is a little bit bigger. 8-9 is bigger turf-wise.
How?
Territory-wise.
We go from Central to the train tracks.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Let's just keep it blood.
No.
The most active
let me say
blood
something to you.
gang
Let me
historically.
Say something to you. No, let me say something to you. Let's do this. You can move around, and you can go to the sheriff's station. You can go everywhere. But you can ask any dude from Kitchen from back in them days, any dudes in them areas. When we went to Firestone Police Station, they had the map on the wall. They had a blue ribbon on one gang, and that was 8-9 East Coast.
Okay, so when it comes to Bloods on the east side, who would you say pound for pound was the most active in the 70s, early 80s?
8-4 Swans.
8-4 Swans, okay.
They'd give you your run for your money. I got a couple of bullets in me.
Okay.
So, and I'm just being real. I'm not being biased. I'm not saying the 8-9s wasn't getting down because our shit was raw.
Well, I'm going to stick to the 8-9 families.
You don't know shit. You on side and looking in. And I tell you again, go up to a sheriff. Go up to any Linwood sheriff was originally Firestones. Go ask him. We was considered the most wanted gang in L.A.
No, I'm just saying in terms of Bloods, I ain't taking nothing away from your cripping.
But when you say they the most wanted gang over in there, we beef with everything.
Okay, well, let's just deal with arrests, convictions, and death. People sitting on death row.
I mean, they weren't good at what they was doing.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
You're saying they got caught more.
They got caught more. My homies, they couldn't get a snitch in the hood. When they finally got one, they did their thing. And I don't give a fuck. I'm telling everybody. Motherfuckers know. Even the older dudes from there, they know. And trust me, I know Time Bomb. I know Ragtime personally. I know all of them. Them dudes was banging. The Banks brothers. Kelsey, Marvin, Paul, just all them dudes banged. You feel me? But no, we was so fucking dumbfounded what they said. Evil was a motherfucking serial killer.
No doubt.
And I done chased that motherfucker
Allegedly.
from Russell Elementary all the way over to here.
Allegedly, though.
Well, I mean, you don't get serial killer if you got somebody else killing somebody.
Yeah. All right. Well, back to T. Rodgers. You said T. Rodgers was such a cool dude, and I think maybe that comes from he actually already had his organization, his nonprofit, his gang intervention set up. I think it was called Sidewalk University back in the 80s. So when you met T. Rodgers in 88, he was already doing what you're doing now, but not to the level you're doing it.
Right. But I didn't know him for that. So I'm telling you, I'm a gang member that I respect my G's. And T. Rodgers deserved that respect. You kind of understand what I'm saying?
I think he's the first dude from out of LA with a nonprofit organization. I can't think of anyone that predates him.
See, I keep telling you.
Hey,
that's how me and you first met, and we got into it.
Okay,
about my parties.
But T. Rodgers started. I believe Sidewalk University was founded in like '85.
They had street gangs.
No, I'm talking. Which organization you think predates?
I just told you they had street gangs.
What organization
which was
is that?
Becky and all them. They had these. They weren't street gangs. It was gang something.
I'm talking about nonprofit, 501c3.
You're not listening to me. They had these tan cars.
He got what's his name? The greatest football player to ever walk the face of earth.
When I say T. Rodgers,
Brown.
you're speaking about the West.
Yeah.
You're speaking about the West. And then, I get it.
And maybe that's the problem we have in here because you an East Side dude. I grew up on the West Side. You grew up on the East Side.
So I can't give you a history on the East. But on the West, but I can damn near tell you everything about the West.
All right, well, let's just go into what you got. You got a thing called B.A.B.Y. Brothers Against Bangin Youth.
Yep.
2008, what inspired B.A.B.Y? Because that's really of all the stuff that people will say you're down for. You know, Bear's known for. Bear's this, Bear's that. He did this, but at the end of the day, B.A.B.Y. supersedes any of this street shit that you've accomplished.
I agree.
What inspired that?
Shit, man, this is finna be funky. So, and this ain't no disrespect to nobody. Growing up in this gang shit, and I got to give it to you like this. Blood, Crip, I don't give a fuck what you is, Hispanic. We got politics like the United States have politics.
No doubt.
And
these Crips and Blood hoods are like mini nations.
Yeah, exactly. And you got people that wants to be the leaders, and they assassinate a motherfucker to be that leader, whether it be verbal or physical. They will do this. And you got people aspiring to be the next whoever they want to be. For me, if I gotta tell you the dead honest truth, I was considered, to me myself, I was a follower. To my moms, I was a follower, because in our hood, Zamora ran straight through the neighborhood, Zamora Avenue, and my house sat right on 92nd and Zamora. And so once I became 8-9, the game started being played.
And when you became 8-9, did some of the Hat gangs feel betrayed?
No.
Okay.
I think I felt more betrayed before them. Okay. Because they all, and I wouldn't even tell you no lie, a dude named Chili from Avalon was with them one day, and I was about 14, I was working for WLCAC, and me and my homeboy and
shout out to the Watkins.
Yeah. My homeboy and dog, we got off work and we went in the neighborhood, and Don Knotts and them was with him. And he was, I wasn't paying attention, he was behind me, but we had just got paid, and I had $40 in my hand. And he fired on me from behind, and I fell on the ground. And
he dope fiend you, huh?
He dope fiend me. And motherfuckers is looking at this, or when they look at it, they know I'm not lying. Desi, all you motherfuckers know. But they seem to forgot who I was. So when I got fired on, he grabbed my money, and they took it and they walked away. And I'm like, all right, boom. I go to 8-9 because that's my family background. And I holler at a couple of people, they give me a thing, and we push back over there. And I hollered, The last thing I seen of Chili, he was running across Central trying to get away. And from that point on, I was like, fuck you motherfuckers. And so that's how I ended up turning 8-9, even though at this time, and I'm talking to any Hat Gang, everybody that want to ask the question, the motherfuckers told me I was the last, Desi, my boy Ski, they would call me the last Hat Gang. you know, because I was still trying to bang. I wasn't ready to quit. I was just starting. They was already toning down. They wanted to be dope dealers, and they was like, "Oh, well, you're the last hat." I'm like, "All right, fuck it." You know what I'm saying? But all my homeboys I'm running with is 8-9s. All my best friends, Big Sleep, Crow, Lil Sleep, Lil CJ. These are all my best friends from kids. You know what I'm saying? Childhood. And we running together. I'm like, fuck it. You know, you motherfuckers are doing this. And then my brother had got shot. Junior Bridges and them had bust on him, hit him with a shotgun in the face. Boom, I turned 8-9. I didn't get courted on. I went busting. And so that was my way of getting walked on. I've been pretty aggressive as a young dude.
Wait, so he got busted on by an 8-9 family?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They man, trust me, you ain't gonna work nothing. I tell you, we was like a movie thing. Daily, every day. We was the pioneers of the gunplay. So if you want, I ain't taking nothing from the families. I'm just letting you know what's real and how it really adds up. They wasn't the number one bangers. We was the number one bangers. I mean, I'll tell you this. We was so strong and we was so at it that we affected a lot of other gangs. A lot of other gangs.
Specifically the 8-9s?
No.
Or just the Coasters?
Coasters, Hoovers, everything that fuck with my homeboy.
Well, the Coasters is so big.
You missing it. My homeboy Duck had a touch so far that it wasn't even funny. He was loved by all. When his funeral came, it was Bloods, it was Crips there because, and we had to respect, this is 8-9. This is some mafia type shit. We had to respect that they was coming to show their respect to him. So we couldn't trip. We couldn't trip on them. We couldn't fuck with them. And matter of fact, 8-9 had to stand down and stay down with Hoovers, period. Like shit. That's some his brothers. That's say homies. Y'all can't do nothing to them. It was homies there. That's riders. That was like, man, fuck it. We can get them. No, y'all can't, homie. This is Duck. This is Duck funeral, homie. We
all right. So you was saying you back to the baby story. So you turned 8-9 and you're tying this into what inspired Baby.
So what inspired Baby? I ain't got to go into that. You know.
No, that's important because I love that dudes from the streets start their own organizations and go to the schools and work with the youth. Skip Townsend is another guy out there.
That's my boy.
Who else? Let's shout out some of the guys that's doing this work out there because I can't think of all of them. You probably know them better than me.
Shit, I got to give it to Skip Townsend. I got to give it to Taco.
Taco from Gardena.
Wiz, rest in peace.
Twin from Hoover. Twin from 107.
Mr. Kevin Orange. That's
Kevin, and his last name is really Orange.
Yes, that's
his real name is Orange.
I grew up under them. I knew him. So you got to understand, when I'm talking to you, we was taught that we respected our G's. You feel me? So these dudes that you just named, Daryl Ransom and them, all these dudes, we had to follow suit and we had to respect these guys because of their contribution to this Crip shit. You feel me? I'm not finna talk no goofy, no sideways shit. You know, when we grew up, if they came in the hood, they were safe. If they came and visited Duck House, they were safe. You know what I'm saying? And it was taught all the way through. So we used to stay in the Hoover hood. Even though I was getting into it with the young Hoovers, shit, the Hoovers would come and see us sit right there on Colton Hoover and would not trip. You know what I'm saying? But big school, little school, Smoke, all them, we got into it with them. I've been in a Hoover party where they started this because we were Yo-Yo, me and J-Bone. There ain't number 2 East Coasters in there. And they dissed first. That's when the song came out, Rumors. And they dissed first, and I jumped up and dissed back. J-Bone come out the kitchen, get up, and we pushing everybody back. And my nigga, Baby Charles, he make the Hoovers bag up. He say, move, man. So boom, they letting us walk out the party. We on 95th in between Vermont and Hoover. And we walking out, and we in my Elko. And I give Bone got my keys, and I say, Bone, look, I see Scoob and them, they on my side. Scoob, if he see this, he know. They on my side. And he and his white folk, they busting the trunk open, they getting their shit out. And I'm like, look, man, they on my side, just get me to the hospital. If they hit me, get me to the hospital. Bone like, we gonna make it out of here. And we bag out. And as soon as the back of my tires hit the street, we hear 2 gunshots. When we hear the 2 gunshots, it's Queek from H-Ray, Big High, it's Day, it's like 5 of them. All of them got shotguns. and they tell them they're not finna touch us. They telling us straight out, y'all go. We bag out and we push. They don't bust at us or nothing. We able to leave, and we stayed right around the corner on Colden and Hoover. Yo-Yo and Baby Charles and Mac and Lil Mac, all these dudes is J-Bone and Lil T, the Washington's family. So they was like, no, y'all not finna fuck with them. And we was able to leave. You feel me? And I'm saying to you, again, here's some stupid shit. We know we not supposed to be there. I remember Lil Fudd walked up to J-Bone. He stuck his hand out like, Lil Fudd, because they didn't know who Bone was. They knew who I was. It was like, you know, Lil Fudd, such and such. And Bone didn't even reach out and shake his hand. Bone sat back and said, Mr. J-Bone Low, 89 East Coast. He took his hand back and walked back over there to Scooby and them. And if I'm lying, my nigga, my mom's is lying. They know this happened. You know what I'm saying? Yo-Yo, she had us in there. We was kicking it. All they girls we knew because they stayed in the apartments was on Colden and Hoover. And Smiley and Red and all these dudes would be over there, and they showed us much love. You feel me? We involved with the 9-0s. 8-9, this is why I'm like, what? The families. We involved with the 9-0s becoming neighborhoods. But really what they became first was West Coast, because they couldn't be East Coast, but that was because they was fucking with us. Me, Lil Big Sleep, Gangsta John, Quick Tongue, all of us used to be on 92nd over there when they fell out with the Hoovers and became 9-0 and separate.
Yeah, they were 9-0 Hoovers first. There was a guy named Foam that got killed. I think he's kind of the founder of 9-0 Hoover, or one of the early line pushers over there.
He was one of the ones.
And then they turned West Coast?
No. Then Space Ghost supposed to kill K-Mac from 7-4, which was Tracy Boo brother. That's my homegirl, much love to her. You know what I'm saying, to her brother too. You know, like I said, there was lines that was crossed that was cool. And when all this shit happened in the 9-0s, they kept, the 9-0s main beef was with the 107s really. That's with the foam stuff and all that. The Space Ghost supposed to be killing K-Mac was something else. And that's when it was the final straw. And they cut them loose, and so the 9-0s became that. And then like Miz and all them, my boy Babu, Meech, Donut, you know, these all the G niggas from 9-0s that we fucked with. And they started claiming West Coast, and then once they went to jail, and all of us ended up going to jail. By the time I got out, they was neighborhood, and they was 90s, and they was from over in the Jesse Owens area now. You know what I'm saying? Because the twins and all them was from that side. They was originally 9-0 gangsters, but then it took the gangsters out and became the neighborhoods, and that became your 9-0s. But yeah, like I said, man, 8-9 has been involved in a lot of shit. My homeboy Gangsta Ron grew up in 111 hood. He stayed in the 111 hood. That's how the 111s used neighborhood, not the 60s.
Wasn't the 11-5 the first neighborhood on the west side?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, that's 111.
Yeah, 111, 11-5.
They all the same.
Yeah.
Back then, my G homeboys ran with them dudes and did shit with them dudes. So, you know, I'm telling you what the history I know. And
hey, man, I could sit here for the next 3 hours and talk about this history, but I need you to talk to me about B.A.B.Y.
So let's go, baby.
Let's go, B.A.B.Y.
So let me tell you what's up with B.A.B.Y. So, some shit went down. A whole bunch of shit was going down. There was an attempt on my life. I found out some bullshit, and I had to deal with it. And so, and I'm just going to be 100 real with you. My granny, my homies know her. Everybody know her. I would go in the house to her, and she would be like, come here. She called me Charlie Brown because my name is Charles. And she'd be like, come here, Brown. And I'd go in there, and she, you know, she was an anointed woman. She was full church on me. You'd never hear her cuss. You'd never hear her trip. You know what I'm saying? If she raised her voice, you was finna get your ass whipped. She was mad. And so, I've rarely ever heard her cuss. And she just told me. She kept telling me, she said, you've been shot. I probably had been shot about 6 times then. And she just told me. And she kept on saying, God wants something from you. And so somebody finna get mad at me, but I'm finna involve him.
I know you don't give up.
I don't. So, you know, some shit happened. Next thing I know, BL and them got killed, and there was a deal made. to get me out the way because I was in people's way. And when that happened, I got people from Grape. I got a lot of family. My grandmother's originally a Graham, and she married my grandfather, which is a Smith, but she was a Graham. And all them Grahams that's from the Jordan Downs that motherfuckers hear me talk about right now, they know the Grahams is over there. And so my cousin came and grabbed me. Lil Rick, this motherfucker got a big-ass grapevine on his face. He came on 66 and got me. And they took me and they showed me everything, and then they told me what was up. And so I'm like, what? So boom. Now I'm scared as a motherfucker because I know it's motherfuckers that I got to deal with that know where I lay my head at. The enemy don't never know where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Unless they've been following me for weeks, they don't know where I'm at. So I'm not that's not my worry, and I'm ready anyway. But these motherfuckers know one time I get up and eat, what I do, and where I go, and this and that. So one morning, well, we got to go for the night. One night I'm at my spot. My homie, my boy Yak, he just came home recently. Much love to my nigga. You know, we had a little spot together and another dude, and so they got caught up. The spot got raided, and they went to jail, and then I'm in there running it by myself. And there was an issue going on already, and the war was going on with the Grapes and the Coastas. And so my name was the biggest thing, which the funny shit is it's always that situation since I've been banging. Once I got older, it's always been, you know, even when we stopped, we squashed the beef with the 6 Earls. I was involved with that. I was a big part of that. Me and B.A.B.Y hollering, and then I got the homies on board, and we squashed that beef. A couple of people that got killed, we was able to kill that beef, and that's when we had the big ass shit at the World on Wheels and all that. But so in that, this shit happened, and the war changed, and motherfuckers was seeming like they needed me out the way, and my get down was I'm gonna survive, and so. I was working with Chapter 2 with Mustafa and PP from Q-on-2, Mustafa from Swan. I finally went in with my homeboy Big Am from 9-7. I started doing the stuff, and I'm working up at Washington High School. And the funny shit and the most craziest shit about this whole baby situation is I met this dude, and he knew everything about me, everything. And he was like, "Man, what's up, man?" And, you know, he telling me shit, and I'm like, "Damn!" And he know the whole inner going on in 8-9, and I'm like, "Damn!" But I can't quite remember him. You feel me? And I couldn't quite remember him. And I was like, "Damn!" So he was telling me shit that was real, that was going on in the hood, and this dude, life had got changed, fucking with behind me because he actually tried to become from 8-9. And I told him, I refused to let them bring him in because he wasn't born and raised on the block, so I didn't know who he was, so I was telling him, no, he couldn't be from 8-9. So this dude turned around and ended up working with Marguerite Lamont. And he almost got caught up going to jail because he was a solid dude. He stayed down, he was with it. And, you know, he got family, he got a bunch of family from East Coast, he got family from Hoover. He got my boy from Hoover, Rick. So we on campus and we talking, and at this time, he's the guy over LAUSD, and he's building. He's the reason all these campuses are getting new football fields, and so we talking, and I tell him about what I want to create, and the funny thing is, we going back to what me and you was just talking about. I told him I didn't want to be an interventionist no more. I didn't like the get out, I didn't like the setup, so I wanted to create something else, which was B.A.B.Y. And I wanted, and originally B.A.B.Y. stood for not brothers, it stood for Bangers Against Bangin Youth, because my homeboy Crook from the Q actually came up with the acronym. And so
that's an amazing acronym.
Yeah,
I love that acronym.
Yeah, but it was Bangers Against Brothers, born Bangin Youth. And so we run across my boy Vernell Skaggs. We run across him, and he talking to me, and he was like, "Bill, you remember me? Yeah. You know, I remember y'all used to play football in the park, the whole little nine, talking to me." And I'm like, "Damn." I'm like, this motherfucker know everything, but I don't remember. And, you know, he just told me, say, you wouldn't let me get put on. So I think he tried to get put on twice. And he just said, fuck it. And he started fucking around on campus. So, but all the young homies fucked with him. And so, you know, he liked to fight. He squabbled. They knew he could fight. He'd get down. And so he talked to me one day, and he was saying what was up, and I told him what I wanted to create it. I told him about my program, and I said we didn't see each other for about 4 months, 5 months. In that process, I had been shot. I had a whole bunch of shit to jump, and I just I was finna kill a boy, one of my people. I'm laying on the side of his house, and I'm telling you no bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm laying on the side of his house, and I'm like, I'm finna knock this dude down.
Yeah, you partially told this story on a previous interview. You laying down and like underneath the house,
Not underneath,
the house.
on the side of the house, and I'm in all black.
And then
I got homies. I got 2 people at this end of the street and 2 people at the other end of the street. And we had already said it. We all agreed that he wasn't gonna make it in the house, and he wasn't gonna make it off the street. So I'm there, and I'm telling you, this is some real shit. I'm there. I'm ready, and my granny is on me. All I can hear is all the shit she's been saying to me. And I'm like, fuck. And I had already been in jail, sitting in jail for almost looking at life without, for a gang of shit. And I'm like, man, I don't got no money. I don't got this. And I'm just debating. And I hear her. And she's like, God got something for you. Now, me and this dude had already talked about B.A.B.Y. And we didn't see each other for a minute, and this was a Friday when this happened. I'm laying there, and I just, I'm in tears. I get up because she just owned me that much.
And you ready to lay somebody out?
No, I'm going to do it.
You going to do it.
I'm telling you, motherfuckers know me. Trust me. Motherfuckers know me. They know my get down. I was going to do my thing. And I got up, and I said, fuck it. I was crying. And I was like, I had tears in my eyes. I went crying. I went boo-hooing. I had tears in my eyes. I cry when I'm angry anyway. So I'm headed. I get up and I say, fuck it. And I walk to the car. When I get to the car with my boy, he's like, what's up? But he looking at me and I'm like, I'm cool. He's looking at me like, you cool? And I was like, yeah, I'm cool. I said, let's roll. I say, call them and tell them to meet me at my house. At this time, I'm staying on 66 on Broadway, in between Grand and Broadway, and 66 Hood. And so we meet back at the house, and I'm telling you, I just told him straight up, I said, you know what? I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to let God handle it.
Shout out to Granny, though.
Yeah.
Shout out to Granny. Tell everybody your grandmother's name, man.
Edith Smith.
Damn.
I'm just,
Edith
don't
Smith.
do this to me because I'm not going to.
But, Edith Smith saved a life, and she probably don't realize it, but
she didn't save many lives.
It's so important to, for people to give us these words that sometimes we don't necessarily accept it at the time, but then later it hits us and we are moved by those words from our loved ones, whether it's a granny or a grandfather or an uncle or an auntie. And I just want to say, hey, all you grannies and grandfathers and uncles and aunties out there, don't stop doing what you do because y'all save lives. Go ahead, Bear.
So, and this shit was funny. We got up, we went to the house, we hollered, they left. They was like, you good? I said, I'm good. So I go back to work Monday. I'm at Washington High School, and my boy walk up to me out of the blue. And he said, hey, Bear, what's up with that program you was talking about? I say, well, I know what I want to do. I don't know how to go about doing it. And he said, well, I got this number. Call this number. And I said, all right. So, bam, I called the number. And I met this guy named Phil up here at Rancho's Park. And when I met him, turned around, I knew him. He was from out of A-Trades, but he ran with a lot of us out the coast. Ran around in the 6-pack. Shout out to my boy Phil. He's still up there. And there. So he gave me a number, was a lawyer. I called the lawyer and set up a meeting with him. I didn't even tell this dude when we was meeting. When we got to the meeting, Beverly Hills police followed us, and we was able to pull into the underground parking. And me and Crook from the Q, we went upstairs, and my boy was in there. And we sat down, and he called me Charles. He didn't call me Bear, didn't he? He just called me Charles. And he was like, all right, so we here. And he said, well, Charles, tell them what your program is. And so I told him, I said, I want to do prevention. I don't want to do intervention. I don't want to do none of that. I want to do something that we can change the kids prior to them going into gangs. I want to show them what the gang strategy is, what's expected, what they want you to do, and what it's going to cost you. And so when I told Ken Seaton, that's his name, I told him what was up, and Ken Seaton told us, man, that's a sound program. He said, you could be a $125 million program. My boy still didn't stop there. He's like, he pulled his checkbook out and he said, how much do it cost to get it started? And no, he said, how much do it cost? And they said $2,700 to get the 501c3. So I was like, I'm just basically really listening because now he talking. And he's like, well, how much you need to start it? He took his own checkbook out, wrote a check for $900, gave it to him. And he asked me, he said, can you handle the rest? I was like, yeah, because I threw parties anyway, so I knew I could get the money up. So from that, baby began. Within 90 days, we had the 501c3. And, you know, that's been my fight every day.
Now, you in a bunch of middle schools. You're in a bunch of places here that are known in South LA.
High schools.
Talk about all the schools that you're currently working in.
I'm working View Park. Well, ISEF, here's the funny. He don't never take claim in none of this shit, man.
Who?
Excuse me for my tears, my boy. Vernell.
Oh, Vernell, who's sitting off camera right now.
Yeah, he right there.
Yeah.
He always pop up at the right time. He never want to take claim to nothing. He was like, boom, I started walking my own contract, and he's there, and he can verify it. I'm riding the bus from Compton, the train, and I'm going all the way off from there to Adams and Arlington to this first school that my son went to. My son had a problem there, and I went up there, and I met Mr. Watts, and I met Kene Washington. And when I met them, I was like, you know, I was telling them about my program because now by this time, I am a 501c3, and that's why I give a shout out to my boy Skip and Big Watt from Harlem. I give a shout out to both of them because they validated me on this. I'm on campus, and they bring me on. My son, they got into some trouble, and so that's how I met these two guys, and they said, we want you to come speak. And so I go up there and speak. Now, they had a list of 21 kids that was what they considered their problem kids. I picked 26 of them, but I had all of the 21. And so Mr. Watts and Kene was like looking like, well, how the fuck did he pick all the ones that we got on the list, plus 4 more? And so they asked me, I said, well, I'm reading their mannerism. I'm seeing them. You know, I was a child gangbanger, so I could see their attitudes and their get-downs. I knew who the alpha dog was and all that. And so once we started that, before that day was out, I realized where they was claiming, like some of them was Harlem, some of them was trying to claim 20s. So I called Skip first, Skip my witness. I called Skip first. I hollered at him. I said, can you come up here? I need you to speak so these kids to know who I am. And he was like, I'll be there. So Skip showed up, Watt from Harlem showed up. And the funny shit is, when they came, as soon as Skip got on the stage, I can't think of their names right now, but the ones that was affiliated with Bloods said straight up. And this, reason I'm telling you this is the funny about how we fix this shit that we got going on. When Skip got on the stand, up on the stage, kids set up. You can see already, I was like, that's the big homie. You know, kick back. And so then Watt came and he got up on the stage and he started talking. And I knew the twins, I seen all them. And so I knew who was what, and I knew who was affiliated. But they validated me, and from that point on, I was able to talk to them and listen to them. And I just want you to understand this. Us that come out these streets and we bang, we got a power that we don't realize we got. And that power is, no matter what, they're going to respect us. Any kid is going to, even the most defiant kid, is going to respect who we are if our name is solid. So my challenge most of the time when I'd hit the campus was my name Bear, Charles Spratley, go home, ask your people about me. And most of them would come back and they would listen. They'd kick back, no disrespect. I didn't disrespect them, neither. I didn't have to yell at them. I'd tell them to kick back, sit down, don't do this, don't do that. And I was able to show the schools that I was able to change the attitude. I could change some of the stuff they was doing. But for me, it really wasn't that. It was me communicating with them and making them recognize where they was defaults was and where they was fucking up at. You know, you yelling at a adult, motherfucker, you can't beat that adult, but you know the rules, they can't do shit to you, so you gonna sit up and say fuck it and fuck up and fuck yourself up. You ain't gonna learn nothing, you gonna keep trying to be disrespectful and you never get nothing, and they getting paid for you. How the fuck do you come sit on this campus and they're making thousands of dollars off of you and you get no education? You being a prostitute.
Yeah.
And not knowing it. They're prostituting you every day. Because motherfucker, no matter what you do, every time they check your name in on that attendance sheet, they're making money off of you. And what are you getting out of it? And I just made them aware of that. So most of the kids, I was able to get their attention that way. Some of them, it took a little more deeper work. And as B.A.B.Y is growing, I'm learning they need more nurturing than that. They need other information. You know, you got girls going through so much crazy shit. Young ladies going through so much crazy shit. I'm in a sidetrack for a second because I just want to give a shout out to Erica Flagg, my little homegirl. She just got killed, and we raising money to bury her. She was strong enough to walk up to the homegirls and say she didn't want to bang no more, and got courted off, but she ended up getting killed by a nigga that was trying to prostitute her.
Is there a GoFundMe for her?
Yeah, it's on my website, on my Facebook.
We'll put a link in the GoFundMe for her as well. I wanted to ask you, is your program tied into the city of LA or into GRID or anything like that?
Not to GRID. We tied into LAUSD and ISEF School District. We basically, we are partners with PV Jobs. We're partnered with Cindy Kamlager, which is our congresswoman now. She was a state senator at first. I've been working with her when she was a state senator, so she's given us little extra resources that we're able to give the kids, like CTEs. So with that, I have PV Jobs that give them jobs through construction, jobs through hospitality, and they're building other components to their program. And everybody I did put in there, they all have excelled. They all have got jobs, finding like electrician, plumbing, carpentry, drywall, and just whatever it is, painters union. And they getting you guys in the painters unions and all that. I'm working with a lady named Aida. She's the producer of B.A.B.Y for HBO, and she's taking our kids in and training them in the film industry. I got 4 there. Each one of them guys are 19, and they're making like $47 to $55 an hour now. But I got to shout out to one, Malik Silver, and not to exclude the other ones, but Malik was my problem child. I had him since 9th grade. He ended up going to jail on some silly shit. I followed him. I went up to Boys Republic, worked with him, and now he's the one that's excelling the most. My son, AJ Alfonso, they're excelling. Malik is a cameraman now, and this dude he just today, while the strike is going on, he's just gained a commercial where he can still make some money. And, Juan Richardson, all these guys, these young dudes came out of shitty situations, and they fought to get out of it. They listened to my path, and like I said, I'm just giving them pathways, and we trying to fix our kids so they don't succumb to this gang shit. They don't succumb to this bullshit. They don't get out here in the streets and be prostituting. We got women, young ladies we work with and everything. So, this is what B.A.B.Y's push is to fix our kids, because I just truly believe this. We got to give them back their futures. The only way we can get ours back is we take theirs.
Hey, man, I want to commend you for that, because even though we talked about a lot of stuff, man, I think this, with the work you're doing right now, is probably the most important thing we got to talk about. And I got so many other topics to talk to you about, but we're gonna have to do another. I don't know what part it would be, probably like part 4, 5, or 6. Yeah, but before we wrap this up, Bear, I got a bone to pick with you, man, because I pulled up in your park a few years ago. It was at Washington Park. I pulled up in there, and you had me damn near have to squabble with an OG, that has fists made out of steel. And we over there punching fists, and I'm like, I don't know how many more times I can do this before the bones in my hand are about to break. And Bear ain't even here. Bear ain't even stopping this.
So let me answer that.
But I didn't want to punk out. I just said, let's go.
Let me answer that.
Let's keep going.
So I'm talking to everybody out in the street. I'm talking to homies in the hood.
Yeah.
From 1st Street to 190 to 2400 block.
Yeah.
You dudes know 40 ounce. 8'9". Big 40. If you dare to go in the park and bump knuckles with him, I don't give a fuck. He's he on drugs, but he's still the dude he was. And if you look him up in TS and all that motherfucker was pushing over 500 pounds of weights easily. And I by the time I realized he did the punch hand,
I'm waiting.
I'm like,
for
why
Bear
the fuck would you do that with him?
I'm waiting for Bear to say, "Hey, stall him out. That's my boy over here."
I was expecting you not to put your hand up.
I don't want to punk out.
But punk out. Put your hand down. How did it feel after you didn't punk out?
I mean, I don't know how many times I had to
about 5
with this dude, 40 ounce, whose fist is made out of steel.
This motherfucker solid concrete.
But in the back of my head, I'm like, is Bear gonna come here and stop this?
By the time I got there, it was over when you was looking at me like, what the fuck?
The way I saw it is like Bear was just enjoying this shit. Look at Alex over there, he about to get fucked up.
I didn't think he was gonna do it. I just didn't think he was gonna do it. I won't do it with him. He'll tell you right now. We had him in here at the table right now. Ask him how many times we fist bump. Never.
Is that right?
Never.
But he did it one time with another dude and he was done. I forgot.
I got a homeboy that was sillier than that. His name is Fred Mo, and he do it every time. And I seen him sitting on the curve, and he was just fucked up because he beat his hands up. He didn't hit him in his face. He didn't hit him in his body. He went fists with him, and he was sitting out saying, "You stupid."
Where did that whole fist thing start, man?
Because he know his strength. He knows his strength.
That's just 40 ounce thing.
Yeah, you look at him. Oh, he's a drunk. I mean, he's a crackhead. The motherfucker is heart of stone. He's like one of the top of line Crips in YA and everything. You know what I'm saying? So many dudes know this dude and respect this dude. I'm talking, and I guarantee you, when they look at this shit, they're gonna be like, "Motherfucker, he did what with 40?"
My hand was hurting for about a week.
You could pull him up.
And you didn't stop
You could pull him up.
Bear didn't stop this at all.
With that blue shirt on, he about this big, man. This motherfucker about this big. You just didn't realize who you was playing with.
But I'm always up for a challenge also, though.
Sometimes you got to recognize something that's going on with that. I don't give a fuck what he look like. He willing to do it. Wait a minute, what you know that I don't know is the question.
Yeah, my fist was hurting for a week, man.
Hey, and that's my people, that's my family.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. I pulled up on you over there at Washington Park, though.
Oh no, you welcome. As soon as they see you, they know who you is.
Yeah.
Like, no. Hey, come here, V. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, before we wrap this up.
Only reason I want to bring him in
is
he's my silent partner, but he's always in denial. Look.
He gonna have to get closer to the mic or
Quit hiding, man. Quit hiding. Let me move over.
All right.
This is my boy V, and this is a big reason B.A.B.Y got started. You know, he didn't get metal into what we was doing and where we was going, but he definitely made sure we got up and got running.
Any words you want to say, V?
No, just shout out to all the dudes out there that's in that lifestyle that's trying to make that change. Shout out to those folks, and always stick with people who are going to push you. I do want to say it's funny, another guest you had on your show, Tiny Mac from 11 Deuce Hoover, the people he was mentioning, Baby Charles and those folks, those are his uncles. And those are my folks. Shout out to all my A4 boys, Big Doughboy from 6ix9ine, Ice,
the Washingtons,
Baby Smoke,
the Johnsons,
Snoops, and
the
also all of the folks from A9, Baby Craze, and some of the other folks.
Yeah, Baby Craze.
People who are trying to make a push in a
Little
positive direction.
C-Dog.
So much love to those folks.
Man, tell all the homies from 8-9 that's rest in peace, homie, and gave their lives for this shit. You know, a lot of these men and women, you know, definitely to my niece, Lady Box, to Erica Flagg. She was August Blue. Like I said, I got a GoFundMe on Facebook, Charles Bear Spratley. You might see the baby symbol on there, but go on there, man. She was a young girl and she was trying to figure it out. You know, I don't really know her whole family history, but I knew that she thought she wanted to bang. She started from Backstreet, And then she ended up coming to us, and the homegirls embraced her. They got into a big-ass fight with the Backstreet Girls, but we was cool. To my homegirl, Kelly from Backstreet. And, you know, this young lady just lost her life, and young, homie. And she lost her life because dudes wanted to pimp her.
And Alonzo, I want to say this for those of us who are not banging but maybe affiliated, and people give you a way out, you got to pay it forward. So I would say with Bear, his point was when he talked about joining 89. My best friend who passed away, Romeo from 89, he was from 89. All the people I grew up with on the block. So I grew up on a block with half of the block being from Hoover, most of them from my peoples. The other half, all East Coast, from 6'9", 6'2", 6'6". People I grew up with, my age and older. So I didn't really want to ever make a choice, but I had the opportunity. I had the opportunity to choose. So since most of my family were from Hoover, I said, I'm not going to join that, because if there ever is a situation where I got to get cracking, then, and my folks know that, I said if there's ever an opportunity or a situation where I got to get cracking on them, then I don't want to be from Hoover. So I gravitated more towards East Coast. And when I went out searching, like, well, I'm going to join. And Bear was like, well, I know the rules, because once you affiliated, if you grew up with people from the 70s, you know the rules as someone who's affiliated. I didn't live over there. You were required to be over there all the time. And he was like, nah, that's probably not a move you want to make. Mm-hmm. But another situation happened where I was going to get active on something. And Bear told me, he stopped me, he said, you know what? We know your heart. We know where you are, but you got other things in the future. And Box, shout out to Box, also was in Colors. He was another guy who was like,
his job. And
was like, you're not supposed to be there. But fast forward, I was selling dope. But Miss Marguerite Lamont, rest in peace, who was the principal of Washington High School, gave me an opportunity to go to college. I went for the first year, and after that, I said college wasn't for me. I'm a street dude. I had a little money. I said when I get back, my Rick from Hoover, he was getting out, so I said, okay, he gonna get out. He already set up where he gonna do the thing. The very next day of getting off the plane from Virginia, I get arrested. And this is 96 when they had the 3 strikes. Like, if you get caught with a gun, you got so many years for the bullets in the gun. I got caught with him going to pick up to do our thing. And since I'm affiliated, and I tell people this all the time, if you hang with people, I don't know how it is now with younger dudes and how the game is, but if you affiliated, you kind of bound by those rules. And I was bound by those rules, so I took the case. And I almost lost the scholarship and everything, but shout out to that principal, rest in peace, Marguerite Lamont. She wrote the judge of the court and basically told him the situation. And basically, my outcome was, we're going to send you, you have to attend school, you have to finish. You don't finish, we violate you, you do the full time. And because of that, that's where I am today. And she made it a point to say, you got to pay it forward now. So when I saw Bear, I already knew who he was. He couldn't remember because I was in and out the state. So I was telling him things like, man, you so-and-so this, so I don't want to get into some of those activities.
He just knew shit.
But that was the point, and then paying it forward like your show. And I appreciate your show because I look at some of the dudes where, in my opinion, you pay it forward because you allow some of the dudes that come to your platform, and there's a springboard for them, and then they're able to possibly sustain themselves. So I think that's what we all have to do at the end of the day.
Well, shout out to that principal, man, that allowed you to get a second chance. Also, we're going to put a link for the GoFundMe for the homegirl that lost her life. And we're going to have Bear come back on here because I have a couple more topics that we didn't get to tap in with, man. But I appreciate you coming through. Where can people find you, tap in with you if they want to communicate and get in touch with you, Bear?
So my like I told you, the Facebook program is Brothers. It's Charles Bear Loke Spratley. Most people see me on there. They on there. I got so many people on there. My Instagram is Grump89Grump whatever it is.
Yeah, just 89Grump on Instagram.
89Grump on Instagram. You can hit me up 310-508-0326.
Damn, he just dropped you the digits.
Man, I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
I'm still this shit. I'm still in this shit. I'm still living this shit. I'm still walking it. I'm just telling y'all, if I'm dealing with your kids, I'm doing what they need. I'm trying to get them where they need to be at to help you out, you ladies, you single pops, you single moms. We trying to educate them. We trying to re-educate our kids. We basically, like I said, our thing is taking back our future by giving our kids back theirs. So, I mean, if you on board with that and you believing in, I challenge anybody that want to sit up here and tell me you'll take your kid and walk them down this road. And I'm not even talking to the ones that kids did end up gang banging. I'm saying to you, I know you want to stop them. And I know you want to give them the truth. And that's the thing. We got to start giving our kids the truth and re-educating them. You got to stop letting motherfuckers label your kids as IEPs and IP shit. That shit is, you can do Social Security on that shit, but what challenges you giving your kid? Because all they're telling your kid is all they got to do is make a D. Make a fucking D, and they can graduate from high school. That is bullshit. That makes our kids not competitive in college and not competitive in the workforce. So, look me up, ask anybody. I'm trying to tell our kids, look, all right, if you don't plan to go to college, come on, get in this little construction program I got. They training them from 9th grade to 12th grade. The video program, they training them from 10th grade to 12th grade. And as soon as they graduate, we trying to get them working before anybody can get their hands on them, before anybody can lie and tell them to go put $30,000 in the bank account and then they get $10,000 of it and everybody else get the rest of the money. And then they got to pay all of it back. So that's my get down. And if I'm wrong, hey, fuck it.
Nah, man, you ain't wrong because you're doing God's work. And I'm gonna have links to all of Bear's
all glory to him.
I'll have links to all Bear's contacts down in the show notes of this episode, to his Facebook, to his Instagram, and to and to the GoFundMe for the homegirl. And anyone that want to tap in with me, I'm at Alex Alonso 101 on Instagram and Twitter. And I'll have video clips of this episode on the Street TV YouTube channel. And I want to thank everyone for tapping in with another fire episode of Streets and Scholars. And Bear got one more thing to say.
To all my niggas, evil mind. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
And we're done.